2027 champions. I hope my dearest children who are watching this video are doing absolutely good. Well, for those of you who do not know me, my name is Jasmine Joy. I teach biology, and you might be here for two reasons. First reason, accidentally. So you might have clicked on this video accidentally and oh, boom, and here is the video. Well, in that case, I'll make sure that you do not feel that, oh my God, this was such a bad thing that I did. You will definitely feel proud that, oh, accidentally I reached up here and it actually turned out to be good. That will be the reaction that you would be having by the end of this particular video. Now, the second reason why you are here could be because you saw the chapter Human Reproduction one shot and you literally have so many doubts and you want to clear them up, and you feel that this teacher teaches pretty fine and probably I can believe her, right? In that case, I'll make sure that I am worthy of your belief. Well, my dear children, I have been doing this for so many years now, and I'm pretty sure that yes, we both, if at all we practice together, we can give our best results. And in this video, we are just having one target, and that should be not my target, it should be yours and mine. That is to complete Human Reproduction chapter in one go. I do not know the length of this particular video, but I have only one thing in my head, that is I have to teach every one of you in the best way possible, and I will be doing that. And if you think so, if you think that this video had helped you, okay, definitely let me know in the comment section that, ma'am, yes, this video had helped me. Or if you have any doubts, ma'am, I didn't like this, ma'am, I do not know this, ask me in the comment section. And yes, again, I'm telling you, if you feel that we have helped you, do not forget to hit the subscribe button. Well, let's go. So we are here in this chapter, and I will be explaining why women have mood swings like this and why papa men have to shave their hair every time here and now then once they hit puberty. And it's because of a lot of hormones. We will be talking about a lot of hormones over here, and I'll make sure that you understand it and you not mug it up, and it becomes very, very easy for you. By the end of this particular video, I promise you four things. First thing, best marks in your FA1. Second thing, bestest marks in your second PUC board. Okay, and the third thing, concepts are going to be super clear for your KCET such that you will be able to solve each and every question. And the last and the most important thing for me, you will be the happiest. Why? Because you are already able to solve a lot of questions. Your doubts are getting cleared. Your concepts are super clear. I am all happy. Right? So since you are happy, I'll definitely be happy. And by the way, I have already done the video on sexual reproduction in flowering plants. It's a one shot. It went up to 3 hours 47 minutes. I promise there is no chit chat. There's everything that is useful for you. Make sure you watch that video. I have included KCET questions there. I have included second PUC questions there. In this video, I have not included KCET questions because that will be done in ACDs. But I have included second PUC questions, and the concepts for KCET obviously will be cleared. I'll be telling you from which type of portion, what type of questions are gonna come in as well. But I was sad over here seeing this particular number, 223. Oh my God, 3 hours 47 minutes of efforts for these many children. Well, even if one person is watching it, I'll be definitely happy. That's not an issue. But I think it deserves a little more love, yeah? So make sure you share it with as many of your friends out there after watching it if you feel it's worthy, okay? Because I know we have done it, and I know during examination it does not go like this, rather it goes like this. So there is a change that is going to happen towards the examination, but I really do not want you guys to wait until the examination to discover us, to discover me as a teacher. Make sure you start watching the videos, start giving your best, and make me also super proud. Yes? So let's go. So over here, the first thing that we're going to talk about is the male reproductive system. So Baba, listen to me very, very carefully. Over here, what is the basis of sexual reproduction? The basis of sexual reproduction is, ma'am, two gametes are gonna come together. Two gametes are gonna come together, and basically they're gonna fuse, and we will be getting the zygote. When they fuse, this process is known as fertilization, and at the end of it, what do we get? We get the zygote. This zygote is going to be what? A single cell with a single nucleus out there. How did we get the single nucleus and a single cell? By the fusion, as I said, of the sperm as well as the egg. Okay, egg carries a lot of cytoplasm, sperm does not carry a lot of cytoplasm, so there is no cytoplasm to contribute from the sperm's end, not too much, but the egg has it, so we have the cytoplasm. The nucleus is basically formed by the fusion of these two gametes nucleus. We get one cell. What do you call this as? Zygote. Okay, now the zygote which is there is going to develop further. If it is one cell, if it is unicellular, it has to divide itself and become multicellular. So it becomes like that. There are 2 cells, then 2 becomes 4, Baba, then 4 becomes 8, and that's how the division happens. The moment the zygote turns from unicellular to multicellular like this, even it is of 2 cell, from this moment I am going to start calling it what? An embryo. An embryo which is there slowly develops into what? Chutku person over here, which we call as what? Fetus. Which we call as fetus. And finally, the fetus would be out of the female body. That is how the process goes. And before I go ahead with the male reproductive system, I just have few terms that you should be knowing and you should be having in your head, starting with this term which is known as gametogenesis. Ooh, just a second. Okay, so we have what? Come on, darling, just a second. Yes, we have gametogenesis. What do you mean by that? The formation. Genesis means formation of something, and gameto means you're talking about gamete formation. So first thing that happens is gametogenesis, where you will be getting sperm in the case of males, and in the case of female you will be getting your egg, or what do you call as ovum. So gametogenesis is done. After gametogenesis, what should be happening? When the gametes are being formed, both these gametes should be coming together to form what? The zygote. This is going to be the second step out there, which you call as fertilization. What do you call this as? Fertilization, fusion of the male and the female gametes. After that, what is going to happen? After that, what is going to happen? So, ma'am, I have a doubt over here. Gametogenesis formed, basically gametes formed in the male body and the female body. So, and it's there in 2 separate bodies. How can fertilization happens until both these bodies come together? So before that, before the process of fertilization, there's a very important step that most of us actually forget. So this apparently will be your 3rd step out there. The second step is somewhere missed, and what do you call this as? This is known as insemination. It is known as insemination. What do you mean by that? So there is a female body, there is a male body. Right? The male has the sperm, and sperm is what? Motile. It is able to move. What about the egg? Egg cannot move on its own. It does not have tail, hand, anything out there. Okay, so egg is right there, and the sperm is something that is motile. So the only job that we have to do is transfer the sperm into the female body where the egg is present. This transfer of the semen that is sperm plus some fluids out there is into the female body is known as what? Insemination. Now once the sperm enter, obviously some sperm can come in contact with the egg, and that's how fertilization is going to happen. So first gametogenesis, formation of gametes, then transfer of these gametes is known as insemination. Then you have fertilization, that is a fusion of gametes. After fertilization, what happens, Baba? As I told you, the embryo is going to develop. Where? In the uterus of the female. And this process, this entire time where the fetus is developing, or the embryo is developing into the fetus, I have a name for it. I will be calling it, by the way, this is 4th one, right? 1, 2, 3, and then this is 4th one. This period where the baby, or basically the embryo, develops into the fetus, or the entire fetal development takes place, is known as gestation. What do you call it? Gestation period. And finally, when the time is up, okay, when 9th month is done inside the womb of the mother, the baby says, Mama, I want to move out. And that process is known as what, Baba? Parturition. It is known as parturition, and this is going to be the 5th one. So what do we have? First, gametogenesis. This is a KCET MCQ question. You have to arrange them in order. So please know this. Gametogenesis first. Second one is going to be insemination, transfer of male gamete. Then we have fertilization, fusion of the gametes. Then basically the zygote develops into the entire fetus, and that whole process is known as what? Gestation period. And finally, you have parturition, where the baby is finally going to move out. Cool. This is something that you need to study. This is the intro part of this particular chapter. Done. Write it somewhere. I think this page might go, so please take a screenshot of it. It will be lovely if at all you can do me that favor, okay, because it's an additional sheet. Okay, fine. So I'm going ahead now with the male reproductive system. We're going to see how the male, inside the male, the gametes are going to be formed. But before going ahead with how the gametes are going to be formed, we have to see what is there in the male reproductive system. Where is the gamete going to be formed? And everything out there. Okay, so the first part of the male reproductive system is going to be the male primary sex organ. What do you mean by that? And why do you call it the primary sex organ? So when reproduction happens, what's the primary thing that you need in sexual reproduction? Ma'am, the gametes. So I call this organ as the primary sex organ, the reason being that it is the place where the gamete is going to be formed. What is the gamete in the case of males? It is the sperm. The other reason why I'll call it the primary sex organ would be because it helps in the formation of what? It helps in the formation of the male sex hormones, the male sex hormones which give the men their sexual characters, the secondary sexual characters. They have the beard, they have this, they have that, a lot of other things are there in their body. When they hit puberty, the hormones, all of them together, what do you call them as? You call them as androgens. You call them as androgens. So ma'am, you're saying that the primary sex organ is known as the primary one because it helps in the production of gametes, that is sperm, and also it helps in the production of male sex hormones, that is androgens. Yes, and in androgen, what is the most famous male hormone that you know, that you have heard of? It is known as testosterone. It is going to be known as testosterone. Always remember. So under the androgens, there are so many different types of androgens. Okay, one guy among them is the testosterone. And where is all of it formed? In the primary sex organ, which you broadly call as what? Testis. It is known as testis in the case of male. Now I can clearly see that my frame is getting cut. Just give me a second. So this is something very, very important. So you know testis is the primary sex organ, and this is where these two things are gonna happen. Now I'll show you where in the testis these two things are gonna happen and everything, where is the testis located and all of it. So listen to me very, very carefully. This is a sac-like structure that we have, and that is where the testis is going to be located. What do you call this sac-like structure? You call it as scrotum. For those of you who are finding it difficult to imagine, let me tell you in brief. So over here we have Pappu. Who is this person? This is Pappu. Pappu is my favorite, best friend out there, okay? So this is Pappu, and this is an imaginary character, by the way, okay? And we have, cool. So over here, this is Pappu's heart. This region, until where you have the heart and everything, you call this as what? The thoracic cavity. Thoracic cavity. Okay, below it, all this region that we have over here will be known as the abdominal region. Abdominal region. Okay, below this, whatever region we have is the abdominal region. Now in the abdominal region also, you have this area, the lower area of abdomen. So this is abdominal region only, but it's a lower area of abdomen which has a specific name. This is known as the pelvic region. What do you call this? Pelvic region. Okay, when babies are born, I'm talking about boys, okay, I'm talking about boys. You know, in their body, they have their testis. In their body, they have the testis within the body itself. So over here itself. But while they move out of the mother's body, what usually happens is that they have a sac-like structure. Usually they have it, but the testis remains at the top itself. Okay, so they have a sac-like structure like this, which you call as what? Which is known as scrotum. Where is the testis when the baby is there in the mother's womb? It is within the body itself. Now, when the baby moves out during parturition, that when the baby finally grows, fully develops and moves out, the testis which is over here, it also moves down into the scrotum. In some babies, it does not happen naturally. For them, they might need surgeries and things like that. But generally, it happens for all. Naturally, would not need any interference in between that. So this testis moves down into the scrotum. But why? What's the need of it? So listen to me very carefully. This is known as the descent of the testis, by the way. Descent of testis, this term is not given in NCERT, but do understand this is a KCET question. Okay, anyway, this is descent of testis, and why does it happen? That is important, and that is given in NCERT. Why is this important? Why do we need scrotum over here? So the main reason why there is a requirement of scrotum is because here, testis is the place where the sperms are being formed. Okay, the sperm is going to be formed, and the formation of sperm is known as what? Gametogenesis, ma'am. Gametogenesis, we studied gametes are being formed. Yes, but here what is a gamete? Sperm. So I can call it spermatogenesis. Okay, spermatogenesis. So for the process of spermatogenesis to happen, Baba, you require almost 2 to 2.5 degrees Celsius. lower than the normal body temperature. So our normal body temperature could be this, but we require 2 to 2.5 degrees Celsius lower than the normal body temperature for what to happen, for the process of spermatogenesis to happen smoothly. Now if it remains in the body, can that happen smoothly? Obviously no, which is why it has to come down outside the abdominal cavity within the scrotum for doing the process of what? Spermatogenesis. For doing the process of spermatogenesis. The temperature over here is super important, 2 to 2.5 degrees Celsius lower than the normal body temperature. That is why you have the scrotum. Okay, ma'am, done. Is there anything that I need to know about testis that is given in my NCERT? Yes. And what is that? The shape of the testis or the size of the testis. So when we say testis, please do understand there is width given and there is length given. The width of testis is 2 to 3 centimeter. The length of testis is 4 to 5 centimeters. So I remember it as 2, 3, 4, 5. I remember it as 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can also remember like this. This is the width and this is going to be the length. Again, an important KCET question, an important MCQ in your second PUC boards as well. Okay, so 2 to 3 centimeter width and 4 to 5 centimeter is the length. It is there inside the scrotum. Where is scrotum? Outside the abdominal cavity. It's a sac-like structure. Why do we have that? Because testis cannot help in spermatogenesis. If at all it is there in the normal body temperature, we have to maintain 2 to 2.5 degrees Celsius lower than the normal body temperature. Done, ma'am. Okay, now let's read what's there in your NCERT. So where is the location of the testis? Pelvic region. It is located in the pelvic region. You know where is the pelvic region? Over here. Okay, over here, this is the pelvic region. I shall say that is outside the abdominal cavity. They just give you a region and that is pelvic. Sometimes the testis can go within the body as well. So if at all it's too cold and all, the testis moves within the body. That also happens. That is very natural in the case of men. Okay, anyways, scrotum is what holds the testis, maintains 2 to 2.5 degrees Celsius lower than the normal body temperature for the process of what? Spermatogenesis to happen, for the formation of sperm to happen. Testis is oval in shape. 4 to 5 centimeter is the length. 2 to 3 centimeter is the width. Have we covered it? Yes. Now, it is covered by dense covering. So, testis which is there, it is covered by a dense covering out there for protection, for shape and everything. And inside it, they have mentioned two things: testicular lobules and seminiferous tubules. So, listen to me. From this point onwards, we have to be a little more careful because we are going to deal with some terms. So, over here, you can just remember that there are almost 250 teams. How many? 250 teams are there within each testis. Okay, 250 teams. So I cannot make all 250, so I'm just writing 250 of them. And this is what? Teams. Basically, in scientific terms, what do you call this as? These 250 things that we see over here, in scientific terms, we have a name for it. You call it as the testicular lobule. And children usually get confused with the next term which is there. That is why I'm telling you. Remember, it's that 250 team. And inside each team, Baba, there are 3 members. Almost 1 to 3 members would be the general thing. So there are 1 to 3 members over here. What do you call these members as? These members which are there within it are known as seminiferous tubules. Seminiferous tubules. So listen, 250 teams are there. That means testicular lobule is there. Inside each testicular lobule, you have almost 1 to 3 seminiferous tubules, tube-like things. So you can remember inside one big thing, you have multiple tubes. Okay, seminiferous tubules are there. How many? 1 to 3. And from this point onwards, things are going to get a little more, theoretical, and you have to learn some terms. But I'll try to make sure that you learn it with fun. Okay, so testicular lobules, we have seminiferous tubules. Now we're going to see what happens within these things. What is the use of these things? Why do we have these things? Okay, so here is a picture that I have kept for imagination. And I'm telling you, imagine this to be, this one box that I'm making over here to be one, which is not visible obviously. Okay, just a second. So this one box that we have over here is one testicular lobule. How many of we have? We have 250 of them. So inside one of them, basically I'll say that there are 2 seminiferous tubules. So this is one tubule, this is another seminiferous tubule. There can be one more as well. But anyway, here I'm just making 2 of them. Okay. Now if I see, just look at this seminiferous tubule, I see 2 cells, one green and one brown. what are these cells and why are they there? So one guy says that I am Sertoli cell, I nourish the mighty spermatogonia. I am what? Sertoli cell. One cell's name is what? Sertoli cell. So you know, inside seminiferous tubule there is one cell whose name is what? Sertoli cells. And what does it do? It says that I nourish the mighty spermatogonia. So there is another cell probably who is known as spermatogonia, and this guy is nourishing that. Okay, cool. If we just recall, if we just go back, what was the function of testis? To form sperm and to form the male hormones. Okay, I think the spermatogonia which is there could be helping with the formation of sperm. Right? Yes, that can happen. And when someone is helping in the formation of something very important, obviously some other guy has to nourish it. So that is the Sertoli cell. So I am Sertoli cell, and this guy which is there, he says that I am spermatogonia. I am the one who undergoes division to form what? Sperm. So this forms sperm. What do you call it as? Spermatogonia. This cell which is there, what do you call this as? Sertoli cell. What does it do? It helps in nourishing of the spermatogonia out there. Since it helps in nourishment of the spermatogonia, you should know it right now. It is also known as the nurse cells. Since it is there for nourishment of the spermatogonia, I can also call this as the nurse cell. You know, nursing is a lovely profession. It's a very respectful profession where the nurses take care of the patients really well. Similarly over here, these Sertoli cells take care of the spermatogonia really well, such that it helps in the formation of the sperm. Okay, ma'am, done. That's all done. So we have two cells within the seminiferous tubule. Ma'am, what's the space that you have here, empty space? Do you have any name for it? Yes. What do I call this as? I call this as interstitial space. What do I say? It is known as interstitial space. Okay, interstitial space. And what's the use of interstitial space? Baba, inside the interstitial space, you have some cells which are known as interstitial cells. Interstitial space has interstitial cells. Apart from it, you also have one more name for the same cell. It is also known as Leydig cell. What do you call it? Leydig cell. And over here, let's go and let's see what they have to talk about them. So I am Leydig cell and I secrete androgens without which even sperms can't be made. So listen to me very carefully. I told you testis helps in the formation of sperm, and apart from it, there is male sex hormone production. So now we have got the sperm part sorted. This guy which is there, the Leydig cell which is there, it is saying that I am Leydig cell and I do the production of what? The male sex hormones, which is known as androgens. And without me, without the hormones, obviously this process cannot take place. That is obviously true. So you have got an understanding that what do we have? We have almost 1 to 3 seminiferous tubules are there. Inside the seminiferous tubule, ma'am, two cells are there, Sertoli cells and then spermatogonia. Sertoli cells provide nourishment to the spermatogonia. Spermatogonia divide to form the sperm. Done. In between the space, we have interstitial space. Sorry, in between the seminiferous tubule, we have interstitial space. What do we have up there? Interstitial cells. You also call them what? Leydig cells. And what do? They produce the male sex hormones out there, which I call as androgens, without which do you think spermatogenesis can happen? No, ma'am, it cannot happen. So ma'am, you are saying in the interstitial space there are only Leydig cells or there are other cells as well. So do understand that apart from Leydig cells, you also have some WBCs out there. What do you mean by WBCs? That is white blood cells, and they are there for protection. Suppose any pathogen comes inside the testis and causes trouble up there, causes some disease, you need someone to kill them, to guard them. That is exactly why you have WBCs as well within this interstitial space. And apart from it, you also have some blood vessels. Okay, you have some blood vessels. Why? Because obviously you need nourishment to give to the sperms and all. That is why you have the blood vessels as well. Cool. So I'm just going to read about it and you listen to me very, very carefully over here. So seminiferous tubules which is there, it is lined by spermatogonia. Agreed? Yeah, agreed. What are they? They are the male germ cell. What do you mean by that? Basically, they are the ones that are going to form the gametes later on. That is what I mean by that. Okay. They undergo meiosis to form sperms. Understood. They are going to help in gametogenesis. Sertoli cells which are there, they are going to provide nutrition to the germ cells. So this is Sertoli cells, and what do? They provide nourishment, they provide nutrition to the germ cells which are there. Or basically these cells which are going to help in the formation of the gametes out there. Okay. Interstitial space is there. They contain what? Leydig cells. They contain Leydig cells, secrete androgens, that is known as testicular hormones, that means male sex hormones. Apart from it, you have small blood vessels and also immune cells. Is this portion done? Yeah. Yes, ma'am, it's done. So I can actually say spermatogonia is not the male germ cell, rather I can say is the male mother of male germ cell. Mother of male germ cell. So germ cell would be sperm. So it will be spermatogonium is the mother of that. So you can remember it like that. Cool. So this portion is also sorted. We went inside the testis. We looked through what is happening up there in the testis, and we got to understand that macha, yes, it's known as the primary sex organ for a reason. It is doing both of this function. This function is basically done by spermatogonia, and for helping it you have Sertoli cells, and this function is done by the other guy, that is the Leydig cell or the interstitial cell out there. Okay, done. That's over. Now we are going ahead with the next topic. We have covered everything that we require to know about the testis. Now the next topic that we have is the male accessory duct. Primary sex organ is done. Now we go ahead with duct. What do you mean by that? So listen to me. Sperms are being made. You need to make these sperms travel, because if you remember, the process of insemination has to happen, right? The male germ cell should travel from his body, and not just that, later on it should be getting inside the female reproductive tract as well. Okay, so that is a whole different thing, but at least to travel through the men's body itself, you need some pathway, some duct, and this is known as the male accessory duct. What do you call it? The male accessory duct. Done, ma'am. Okay. Now, for explaining you that, this is the picture which is there, and let me tell you one very important thing before I go ahead. This is the 5-marker question, that is to draw this picture. So while I draw it, you have to pay attention to it, see how am I drawing, is it helpful? If it is helpful, take something from it and basically start practicing this particular diagram. It's a 5-marker question that could come up there. Okay, so here it goes like this. Always understand, you have the urinary bladder right over here. So the first thing that you can easily make would be the urinary bladder. And here in this particular case, the urinary bladder is going to open into a long tube-like structure which you call as urethra. So I'm just tagging all of it such that we do not forget it. What do we have over here? What do we have over here? This portion that is there is known as the urinary bladder. This is where the urine is going to pass through. You call this as the urethra. Done, ma'am. Done, so. Now listen to me. This urinary bladder receives urine from where, Baba? It is going to receive urine from the ureter. You know, ureter is attached to the kidney. From kidney only every filtration is going to happen, right? So I'm just tagging this also. This is known as ureter. Okay, these are 3 very important things, very easy things that I can remember very easily. Now, listen to me very carefully. This whole setup is there within our body. But where is our testis? Our testis is right over here. So here I am going to make a testis. Just give me a second. Okay. So this is going to be a testis. Similarly, you will be having a testis there also. I'm just making on one side. Here inside the testis, what do we have? If you remember, ma'am, we have 250 teams. Yes, so we have so many teams. Obviously, we cannot make all of it, so just make few of them. Okay, these are what? These are testicular lobules which are there. Inside the testicular lobules, what do you have? You have 1, 2, 3 seminiferous tubules. So please make that 1, 2, 3 seminiferous tubules. Done. This is something that we have studied. Now all of them, they come together to form a duct. Okay, and you can just make it like this. Make a rectangle like this and make some holes here. And just connect this and just connect all of it to here. So this is going to be the first duct that we need to study according to our NCERT. Actually, this thing that passes from seminiferous tubules to this particular part is also a duct. You call it tubuli recti, but that's not given in your NCERT. So even I'm not going in depth with that. This first duct that you have over here, which looks like this, it has a name. What do you call this as? Rete testis. What do you call this? Rete testis. Please remember, we are talking about duct, and this is the first duct. This is the first passageway that we have according to our NCERT. The sperms are made over here, they go and travel to this particular duct, and then they say, I want to move out of testis. It's from long time I am here in the testis. So now to have an exit over here, there is another duct which carries the sperm and say that, Macha, now we're gonna move out. This particular duct which helps in exit, you can remember E for exit and E for efferentia. What efferentia? You have a name before it, vasa efferentia. There is what? Vasa efferentia, which helps in exiting of these sperms which are there. Cool. Now, are they able to exit from here? The answer is no. Because while they try to exit, they come into the next duct which is there. They become trapped in the next duct which is there, which is pretty long, and the sperms are like, oh my god, I'm not able to understand where am I, because it is almost 6 meter long if at all you try to open it. This long duct that we have over here, Baba, it also has a name. This long duct is the third one, which you call as what? You call this as epididymis. So you can remember the sperm thing that I'm going to dye over here itself. It's that long. That is the third one that we have, and that is known as epididymis. So finally the sperm is like, I will die if I stay over here in epididymis. Please, someone save me. Take me to distance. Take me inside the body. I want to go within the body. So right now, do imagine it's all happening within the scrotum that is outside the body. That is going to be outside the body. And now we have to enter the body. Okay, this thing is within the body. You imagine like that. This thing is within the body. This is outside. So what is going to happen over here is that here comes the next duct, which is going to save the sperm and say that, Macha, don't be sad. I'll take you within the body. I'll take you to long distance. And here comes the hero out there. And what do you call this as? This is known as, fourth one, vas difference. It is known as vas difference. Always understand D for distance. You can imagine like that. It is the vas difference which is going to be the fourth duct. So what do we have? We have rete testis, vasa efferentia, epididymis, and vas difference. There's a way to remember this. Ravi visits every village. Ravi visits every village. And how do you remember vasa efferentia comes first or vas difference? D for distance. It is the one that takes to distance. So obviously difference comes later on. Okay, Ravi visits every village. Cool. Now we have reached until this particular point, and basically you have entered the body. While you enter the body over here, similarly the same thing is going to happen here also. Okay, here also the same thing happens. The vast difference which is there, comes from this side also. Now it looks a little odd, right? So I'll just make it a bit fine. Just give me a second. It should actually look like this. Ayyo. Okay, a bit similar, little bit, right? Little bit. And over here also. Okay. So anyways, it is gonna go like this. And there will be a testis on this particular side as well. That is how things are gonna go. Okay. So you just want to make this. Fine. So while it reaches over here, you need to understand that ureter was there. It goes back from the ureter and comes forward. Okay, it moves back and comes forward like this, like we put shawl, no? Similarly, it comes forward. Now over here, while it comes over here, you need to understand one very, very important thing. Okay, right now we were talking about ducts, but there comes a gland. That is actually the next portion. But we are going to study about that here itself. So here comes a gland which opens into this. So we were carrying sperm. To actually welcome the sperm, here is a gland which is going to provide it fructose. Why fructose? Because fructose provides sperm the energy that is required. And this particular gland that we have over here is known as the seminal vesicle. It is known as the seminal vesicle. And do note, I am going to make all the gland in blue color itself, so that it will be easy for you to identify which one is a gland and which one is a duct. Okay. So this is a gland that we have. Similarly, this gland has a pair over here also. So it's a paired gland. It is a paired gland. What do you call it? Seminal vesicle. And what is it doing? It is actually releasing some very important thing which is known as fructose. Should I talk about that over here? I can. I think that will be helping you, right? So here it gets the first secretion, and that is known as fructose. Come on. Work. Okay, you have fructose. Why fructose? Because fructose provides energy to the sperm. So ma'am, this duct is there. You have the duct coming from, vas difference. Both of them, they unite and form something else? Yes. The answer is yes. So over here, they form a common duct. Okay, whenever I change the color, it has some issue. Okay, it forms a common duct. Similarly, it forms a common duct here as well. This particular duct which is being formed is going to be our fifth duct. So we are not going to count this one because this is secretion. This is a gland that is doing it. Anyway, this gland and this particular duct comes together to form a common duct which is there. What do you call this duct as? You call this one as, I'm writing it over here. This is going to be the fifth one that we need to remember. This is going to be the ejaculatory duct. ejaculatory duct. Okay, ma'am? Okay, done. So I'll count this as a duct, right? Yes, obviously. How did it form? By the fusion of this and this. Cool, cool. Now it opens into the next thing which is up there. What do you call this as? Urethra. So this is going to be the next thing that is going to be there. This one is going to be the next thing which is there. The ending of the urethra is actually the opening of it. It's known as the urethral meatus. It is known as the urethral meatus, the opening of the urethra. That is not included in duct. You just remember it as a term. Urethral meatus is the opening of the urethra. Now, dear children, listen to me very carefully. The urethra which is there right over here is actually covered up by something like this. So apparently it is going to look like this, and this portion here is going to be enlarged. Well, this whole thing that you see right over here is the external genital organ of a man, and you call this as external genital organ means it is outside the body of the man, and the genital organ means it helps in the process of copulation, sexual intercourse. This is known as the penis. This is going to be the next topic. So after accessory ducts, we are going to talk about the glands, and after the glands, the last portion is what? The external genital organ, that is the penis. But here when I explain this picture, obviously I have to talk about all of it, which is why I am doing so. So this is the penis. Inside the penis over here, this last portion which is there, it is actually enlarged. It is going to be enlarged. This is known as the glans penis. Okay, it is known as the glans penis. And do understand, this glans penis has a loose fold of skin over here. A very loose fold of skin. What do you mean by loose fold of skin? It is attached on this side, but it is not attached on this side, which is why it can move up and down. And it has high nervous stimulation. That means it has so many nerve endings, which is going to stimulate a man during sexual intercourse and help in the erection process of this particular thing, that is the penis. Penis which is there, it is made up of erectile tissue. So if at all you get a signal, if at all you get some nerve stimulations out there, it will become erect, and it has to become erect for getting inside the female reproductive tract which is there to pass the sperm. So this is what the external genital organ, what do you call it? Penis. The enlarged portion that we have is the glans penis. Over here you have a loose fold of skin. What do you call this as? Foreskin. The movement of this particular foreskin helps in the erection of the entire penis. The reason being that it has high amount of nerve endings out there, which helps in activating the erectile tissue which is right up there in the penis. Got it? So ma'am, it opens up there. So you are saying urethra is where the urine is going to pass through. Right, the urinary bladder is over here, urine is going to pass through. Yes, definitely. Urethra is a place where the urine is going to pass through. And right now you are saying that it is also the place where sperm is going to pass through. Yes, I am saying that this is also the place where sperm is going to pass through. So what do you mean by that? Is it having a common passage? Yes, urethra acts as a common passage in the case of men. Do understand that in the case of female, they do not have a common passage. The passage is going to be separate. And we will be talking about that while we enter into that particular topic. Cool, ma'am. Okay. So you said there's a gland. There is only one gland? No. There are going to be multiple glands over here. So the next gland that we have is like a donut. You can imagine it as a donut. It has a hole through which everything passes through, and it is an unpaired gland. So here you saw that this is paired gland. It has a pair, right? This is going to be unpaired gland. What do you call this gland as? This gland is known as the prostate gland. And ma'am, here you told that this one releases fructose. Does this also release something? Because the gland obviously has to release something. Yes, it releases two very important things. That is calcium as well as the enzyme. Ma'am, calcium, why? So the sperm, for increasing its fertilizing capacity, to make sure that the sperm actually goes and fertilizes the ovum, you definitely need some other things as well. And such thing is what? The calcium which is there. And apart from it, the enzymes. So even though it is unpaired, it does two jobs. Okay, here this guy is paired, does only one thing, that is production of fructose. But here this is unpaired, still does two things, that is what? Production of calcium as well as the enzymes. Okay, ma'am. Is there something else that I need to know? There's one more gland? Yes. There's one last gland that is there, which is right over here before the penis starts. And this looks like a bulb. this particular thing that is there, it looks like a bulb, and again it is going to be paired. Here you have one, here you have one. What do you call this gland as? You call this as, since they look like bulb, you call it as bulbourethral, because urethra is right over here. In the starting of that, you have bulb shaped thing. So bulbourethral gland. And ma'am, what do they do? Do they also release something? Actually, they help in the lubrication of the penis. They help in lubrication of the penis such that it can be easily inserted and remain removed. So I'll say that here it helps in what? Lubrication. It helps in, just a second, lubrication. You do not have any specific thing being mentioned that what does it release. You just need to remember it helps in lubrication. Is it a paired gland? Yes, it is a paired gland. This is what I wanted to talk about it, and obviously when I go in ahead, I'll be talking more about it. But who is the main character in this particular story? As of now, it is going to be the duct. So the sperm is made over here. Okay, it is moving to the first duct, brachial testis. Then from here, it takes an exit, vasa efferentia. It gets stuck in the 6-meter long thing that is epididymis, which is highly coiled. And this is where the sperms are going to mature. By maturation, I mean that they are going to have some changes in their shape and they're going to mature. Okay, they will be having some structural changes which makes it the actual sperm. And finally, the sperm get to move from here with the help of vas deferens. The vas deferens goes, loops around the ureter, comes in front, receives a secretion from the seminal vesicle. Both of them open into forming a common duct which is known as ejaculatory duct. From this duct, we go into the urethra. Urethra will be the next passage. Outside, we have urethral meatus. Got it? Here, in between, it receives secretion from 3 glands. One is the seminal vesicle. What does it secrete? Fructose. It says a macha sperm. Hi, please take some fructose, have some energy. Yes, let's go, right? So that is the first gland that we have. Do remember, it's paired. The second gland that we have over here is going to be unpaired. What do you call it? Prostate gland. What does it release? Calcium plus the enzyme. Why? Because the sperm which is going to go, it has to go within the female body and help in fertilization. So to increasing the fertilizing capacity of sperm, we have the calcium as well as the enzymes. Okay, we got the energy and we gave them other thing also for fertilization to happen. Finally, you have one more gland which is bulbourethral gland. It looks like a bulb, and what does it produce? It helps in lubrication of the penis. Penis, what is it? It's the external genital organ. The external organ which is there in the case of male, which is helping in copulation process. It has several parts. First of all, it is made up of erectile tissues. Okay, and this enlarged portion below is known as glans penis. It is covered by a loose fold of skin. What do you call this as? You call this as foreskin. Ma'am, you have not written it, so I'll write it over here. This is going to be known as what? Just a second. This is going to be known as, where are we? Just foreskin. Got it? That's all. And you have other name for bulbourethral, no? I'll be talking about it. So this is the picture that we need to draw, and we need to draw it properly. Make sure you have a practice with it. Again, if at all, you're not mugging up. If you're just understanding, it's an easy to draw picture. If you're trying to mugging up, it will be obviously difficult for you. By the way, at this point, I do remember one thing. If you are someone who probably is missing out on lectures of what is happening in YouTube, because I know that I am doing several counseling videos, so it might be difficult for you to find out things. So there is a website. It's a free website that we have made. It's an all-in-one page. You call it AIO, all-in-one page. Okay, and I'll show you how does it work. Since I remember, I was planning to show you, but anyway, I forgot it. So in every video, in this particular video also, in the link, in the description link, no, you will be able to see something like this. Access the course over here. If you click on this particular link, it opens up to something like this. So Ankit sir is teaching math, Jasmine Mam is teaching biology, Soumik sir is teaching physics and all. And you can just go ahead, click on buy now. Once you click on buy now, just a second. Come on. There's some glitch. Okay, I think internet is slow because you might be able to hear the sound of the rain, right? Just give me a second. Come on. Okay, anyways, I'll just continue at least. I do not want to waste much of your time. So over here, okay, over here when you click on buy now, it will be coming at 0 rupees. So please take it up. Do not worry, there is no charges for it. Okay, you will be having 0 rupees, and what you have to do is go ahead and you would have to give your phone number and all. Okay, once you give your phone number and the details, not too much details, only phone number is being required over here, you would be yeah, this is how it is going to happen. So while I click on buy now, this is going to ask me something, that is enter the phone number. So you can just go ahead and there you will be able to see the ACE series which are ongoing, the live series, and also the one shot will be included. The schedule will be given to you entire day, what is going to be there and everything that is happening in YouTube. In that way, you can catch up on things if at all by any chance you're missing out on things. So the YouTube videos will also be seen up there in the website. So every time probably you open the website or the app, you will be able to check everything. You do not have to go to YouTube for checking it out. Okay, everything that happens on YouTube is going to be there also. So the detailed schedule, everything is going to be visible. So make sure you check out the link that is given in the description section. And that's for free, so obviously that's not going to be an issue. Okay, so my dear children, I hope you had understood this. And as I already told, you can remember that Ravi visits every village for at least knowing the first 4 terms which are right up there. Okay, but do remember, ejaculatory duct also is a duct. Then we have urethra. Cool. Now we talk about, okay, wait, let me read it out. So yes, male sex accessory ducts includes what? Rete testis, vasa efferentia, epididymis, vas deferens, and obviously ejaculatory duct and everything would be there. Pathway: seminiferous tubules opened into rete testis. Rete testis opens into vasa efferentia. Then we have epididymis where they store sperm. Why? Because this is where maturation is happening. Now from epididymis it opens to vas deferens, loops over the urinary bladder, joins the seminal vesicle duct, forms ejaculatory duct, and opens into the urethra. We studied about it. Yes, ma'am. Urethra starts from the urinary bladder, extends through the penis, ends at the urethral meatus. That is the opening, right? Function is to store and transport the sperm. Function of what? The duct. The function of the duct is to store and transport the whole thing. And this is the picture that is given in your NCERT. I hope it's super clear now. So here you would be having rete testis. Okay, then this is your vasa efferentia. Then this is going to be your epididymis. Here is going to be a vas deferens. It receives a gland that is seminal vesicle, and basically open ejaculatory duct is not clearly visible over here, but it's there. Then we have prostate gland. It looks like a paired thing, but actually it's unpaired. And then below it we have bulbourethral gland. Here you have the urethra, okay, and this is covered by the penis. And here you have the glans penis, that is the enlarged portion. And here we have the loose fold of skin, which you call as what? The foreskin. Cool. So the picture that I drew is more than enough for you to get marks. So make sure you go and practice this. Now, talking about the glands, we have done with the duct. I hope it's done. And everyone who remembers all the duct, can you put it down in the comment section line by line? What's the first name? What's the second name? I know it's a lazy thing to do, but I'm telling you, it is definitely going to help you out. Okay, and check whether you have done it correctly or not. And I'll also check, and I'll let you know in the next class when I come. I'll tell the name of those children who got it correct. Okay, now the male accessory glands is something that we have next. And glands, I already told, we have seminal vesicle, we have prostate, and we have bulbourethral. What is the other thing that we need to know about it, ma'am, apart from what you have already told? So the thing that you need to know is, when I say that they help in, they give secretion, one guy is giving what? One guy is basically giving fructose. Another guy over here is giving what? It is basically giving calcium plus the enzymes. What is the next guy doing? It is basically helping lubrication of the penis. Well, one very important thing before I go ahead, bulbourethral gland is also known as Cowper's gland. What do you call this as? It is also known as Cowper's gland. So if at all in your question, if at all it comes at find the odd one out, and you have seminal vesicle, you have prostate, and you have Cowper's gland and some other gland. Please do understand, Cowper's gland is bulbourethral. It is not the odd one out. Okay, so the thing I was saying is that when I say that these secrete certain things, can I call the secretions as one thing? As in, do I have a term for it? Yes, you do have a term for it. What do you call this as? You call this as the seminal plasma. You call this as the seminal plasma. The secretions of all of it, it is known as seminal plasma. So seminal plasma plus, okay, seminal plasma plus what? Just give me a second. Yeah. Oh God, come on. I'm sorry. Seminal plasma and there is a glitch. Okay. Plus the sperm is known as what? It is known as semen. So whenever the term semen comes, do understand it's not just sperm, it's also the secretion of what? Of the male accessory glands. You call the secretions together as seminal plasma. So what is seminal plasma made up of? Fructose, calcium, and the enzymes. And other things that helps in lubrication of the penis. Done. And which one is paired? This one is paired. Oh, this one is paired and this one is paired. Which one is going to be unpaired? This guy which you see over here is going to be unpaired. I know, I get you. Okay, it's okay, let's be patient. This is how we learn patience. Okay, this is going to be unpaired. I'm just writing such that you get a hold of it. I hope you want the PDF, right? Your PDF also will be there in the AIO page, so make sure you check it. Also join our WhatsApp channel. That is where all the updates and everything comes through, if you're missing by any chance. The WhatsApp channel link will be there in the description section. So I do not think we need that. Okay. Now we come ahead with the male external genital organ. So Baba, what all we have covered? The primary sex organ, then we covered the male accessory ducts, then we covered the accessory glands, and now we are here with the male external genitalia. And what is a male external genitalia? You know, it's the penis. And I told everything about it that you need to know. It is basically made up of what? It is made up of the erectile tissue out there, okay, which helps in the process of erection. So if at all you forget it, what tissue? Always understand, penis helps in erection. So obviously it has to be made of erectile tissue out there. So you have the erectile tissue for insemination. Insemination means transfer of sperm inside the female reproductive tract. Okay. And you have the glans penis, which is what? The enlarged tip. It is covered by foreskin. That's the only thing you need to know about the external genital organ. And what type of questions do you get from this particular topic? As I've already told you, you get these type of questions. Draw a label diagrammatic sectional view. Actually, this is not a sectional view, but I do not know what they expect. They expect this particular picture, but this is actually not a sectional view. Sectional view means you cut it and basically look from the sideways. But anyways, and label the given parts: testis, seminal vesicle, glans penis, epididymis, urethra. So you can be asked to make this diagram and label only few parts. This was a 5-marker question. This came in previous year, model question paper 1, question number 35. Okay, so you can expect these type of questions coming from this particular topic. And by the way, since we are anyway talking about this is the sectional view. Okay, this is how the sectional view looks, and obviously we cannot expect anyone to make it very easily. So that is a diagram we generally make. So yes, have you understood this particular picture? If not, listen to me carefully. This is a scrotum where you have the testis. You have everything, epididymis, all the glands over here, all the ducts over here. One duct moves up, and that is what? Vas deferens. Where does it go? It goes back, okay, into the around the ureters out there, and basically matches with the opening of these two glands. What is this? Seminal vesicle. Seminal vesicle opens it. What is this thing that you see? Ejaculatory duct. Seminal vesicle as well as the vas deferens, which is not been seen after some point, opens together into ejaculatory duct. Ejaculatory duct, which is there, opens into what? This ureter. This is your urinary bladder. And not ureter, sorry, urethra. Okay, this is your urethra where the ejaculatory duct is going to open into. And this urethra, if you see, it goes through this particular structure that is known as the penis. And you have the glans penis and everything over there. The back side of it, what do male have? Male will be having the rectum and the anus, through which what? The undigested food which is there, it is going to move out. Cool. So, yes. This question, I hope it's done. And everyone who is watching this video, let me tell you about one more very important thing, that is Pariksha Veera. So there's a course that we have launched, and we are making a promise that everything that is there in your second PUC, along with your KCET level of preparation, is going to be completed within November 6th. And here it's not just about second PUC questions, syllabus completion, it's also about mock test. So there will be 20 plus tests out there. There will be teacher notes given to you. There are live sessions which are ongoing every single day. Okay, except on 2nd and 4th Saturdays, and also on Sundays. Every single day you have 2 classes, each of 1 hour 45 minutes, where we all are teaching, and apart from it, obviously there will be some other teachers also who are going to help us during times where your midterms and everything is going to come. Okay. Do remember, 1 hour 45 minutes is one class. One class is from 4 o'clock to 5:45. Other class is from 6:15 to 8 o'clock. Okay, and we make sure that you do not waste any bit of your time. You parallelly would be knowing that which class is going to come on which day, what is the topic that is going to be covered, everything. And the class is already started. Make sure you go enroll into it. And this is a live class. This is not at all recorded. So yes, you can take the benefit of asking the teacher the doubt, the questions, whatever you have out there. It's an interactive session. It's an interactive medium. We are doing it in Vedantu app and not in YouTube. Okay, and the pricing for this is 3499. If at all you want to check it out, you can check it out in the link that is given below. Cool. Now, we go ahead with the next thing, that is the female reproductive system. So everything about the male reproductive system, I hope it's pretty much clear. Now, before I go ahead with the female reproductive system, I want all of you to compulsorily put it down in the comment section that what is the flow of the accessory duct that we have studied. And let's take a break. I'll come back again where we are going to go ahead with the primary reproductive system. You can also take a break and come back again. Okay? And if you're not hit on the subscribe button, hit on it right now. Okay, champions, let's go ahead and let's talk about the female reproductive system. So just like, by the way, I hope all of you are able to recall everything that we studied until now. Yes? Yes, ma'am. Okay. Now, the next thing that we are going to get into is this, where again, the first thing is the primary sex organ. Just like how you had the male primary sex organ, here also, there's a primary sex organ which is going to do two things. Ma'am, we know. What is that? First is formation of gametes. Here in this particular condition, the gamete is going to be none other than the egg, or you also call this as the ovum. The second is to produce the female sex hormones which are there. Yes, these two functions are done by the primary sex organ. And what is the primary sex organ in the case of females? It is none other than the ovary. What do you call this as? It is going to be the ovary. And how many ovary does a woman have? There are 2 ovary in a female's body. Generally, they have 2 ovaries within their body. And where is it located? Just like how we dissected Papu and we saw how was the scrotum, where is the scrotal sac located, where was the testis located. Just let's have a quick dive over here also. Suppose this is the heart. Until this point, what do you call this? Thoracic cavity. Below this, what do you call this as? The abdominal cavity. The abdominal cavity. In the abdominal cavity, the lower region which is there, what do you call this as? The pelvic region. It is known as the pelvic region, isn't it? Yes, ma'am. All cool. Here in the lower region, you have the female reproductive system. Here at this particular exact point, you have what? Your female reproductive system with 2 ovaries on each sides. Got it? Yes, ma'am. Okay, fine. Now, apart from ovary, you need to know about a lot of other things. Then only we will be having a clear understanding of things. So, ovary is the place, as I told, this is where the gametes are going to be formed and also where the female sex hormones are going to be formed. Now, this ovary carries the ovum, the egg. The ovum which is there, it has to be transferred. Why it has to be transferred? That is the first question that you should be having in your head. So listen to me carefully. When I said that the male and the female are going to have sexual intercourse and the male penis is going to be erected, that is responsible, that is helping for getting inside the female body. What do you understand from that? I'll tell you. So this portion which you see right over here is actually known as the vagina. Okay, what do you call this as? The vagina. There is an opening to the vagina. This is known as vaginal opening. Cool. Through this vaginal opening, the male is going to insert the external genital organ which is known as the penis right over here into the vagina. Through the opening, he is going to insert what? The penis. That is why it has to be erect. Otherwise, this process cannot take place smoothly. Now, after this is being done, the next process is to basically release the sperm. Okay, after the insertion, the next process would be the releasing of the sperm. Right? The sperm which are released over here, now I'm going to change the color, I'll make it as black. It is soon going to enter this whole structure. What do you call this structure as? The first thing that you see right over here, this particular portion? This is actually known as the uterus. It is known as the uterus. Do you understand? Uterus is different from urinary bladder. Urinary bladder stores urine. Uterus is there for nourishing the embryo such that it transforms into the fetus. The baby development happens up over here in the uterus. Okay, so ma'am, you're saying the penis is inserted into the vagina and over here the sperms are being released. When the sperms are being released, they are going to get entry. Mostly they might enter the uterus. Yes, yes. And is it going to be easy or tough? It's going to be a tough journey for the sperms. Why? Because sperms generally are in an alkaline condition. Alkaline means basic. Okay, you might have known about the pH, right? In chemistry, we study about the pH. So it's in basic condition. But right now, it enters the female body. It's all acidic up there. Why acidic? Because, you know, so many pathogens can also come through the same opening. It can cause trouble. It can cause diseases. And to kill all of it, it creates an acidic environment out there, which is why a lot of swans will be dead. But a lot of them will be able to thrive through as well. A lot of them could survive as well. And when they survive, what do? They have to meet with the ovum for fertilization to happen. Now for that, do they come inside the ovary up there? No. From the ovary, the ovum is going to be made and further released. Released to where? Released to the next part which you see over here, which you call as oviduct. From here, the ovum is being transferred into the oviduct, and it's not like ovum is moving. There are so many ciliated epithelial cells over here. With the help of the cilia, okay, the ovum is just rolling around it and moving, and it comes and stays at this particular point within the oviduct. So I'll tell you which point exactly when I talk about each of them separately. I'm just giving you a brief of what is exactly happening over here. The sperm is going to travel through this oviduct and is going to come and fuse over here, and this process is known as fertilization. So you had an understanding right now that there is no other place where the ovum is going to be formed except the ovaries. So ovary is very, very important, right? And obviously the hormones which are being released over here is responsible for everything that happens up over here in the uterus as well. You get it? So it's going to be a full story that we're going to study one by one. Let's start with the ovary, which is the primary sex organ. Okay, so when I say the ovary is the primary sex organ, you should know about what is it made up of, what's happening in the ovary and things like that. So ovary, it looks like this. The length of the ovary is the only thing that is given in your NCERT. The width is not being mentioned. So the length of it is almost 2 to 4 centimeter. It is what? 2 to 4 centimeter. Okay, so in the case of in the case of testes, you studied 2, 3, 4, 5. So always remember, from this I took the first one, from this I took the first one, 2 and 4. That is the length of the ovary. Outside, this layer that you see over here has a name. What do you call this as? This is known as germinal epithelium. It is known as germinal epithelium. What does it do? Basically, this layer that is there, it provides protection. It provides protection. Now, is this name mentioned in your NCERT? Yes, they have mentioned that there is an epithelial layer covering the ovary. So this is the epithelial layer. What is it known as? Germinal epithelium. Okay. Now, within this, you have another layer about which I do not request you to remember the names of it. I'm just telling you, have it in your head. Okay. There is one more layer right over here. What do you call this layer as? This is the second layer that we have, and this layer is known as tunica albuginea. Tunica albuginea. And in simpler terms, what is the function of this? Again, to provide protection. Apart from that, to provide structure, to provide the strength, okay, so that it maintains this particular shape itself. What do you have it for? For providing structure, and apart from it, obviously for protection. Okay, now comes what's there in your NCERT and what you have to remember as well. So in your NCERT, outer epithelial layer is there for protection, and then they are mentioning about the inner thing. They are not mentioning about the tunica albuginea. Inside this particular thing, always remember, you have a region like this. This is known as the cortex. This is going to be known as the cortex. And you have a region right over here. This region which is there is known as the medulla. Ma'am, both of them together, do they have a name? Yes. So basically, the inner part which is there within the ovary, which is a mix of cortex as well as medulla, is known as what? It is going to be known as the stroma. It is going to be known as the stroma. This is very, very, very important thing. Okay. Cortex is the place where the ovum is going to be formed. So ovum which is there, it does not form just like that. There are multiple steps over here. Okay, multiple steps will be there. So this is the place where the ovum is going to generate one by one. It will be having multiple stages. This is the cortex that I am talking about. What is the role of medulla? Medulla is a place which is richly supplied with blood vessels and everything that could be providing nutrition to the growing ovum which is there. Got it? So I'll just repeat it. Listen to me very, very carefully. What do you have over here? You have the outermost layer, which is known as germinal epithelium. Okay, what does it do? Protection. Next thing, what do you have? You have tunica albuginea. What does it do? Structural support. The next thing that we have is the stroma. Stroma is divided into cortex and medulla. What does the cortex contain? Contains follicles and hormones. What do you mean by follicles? Basically, follicles are some structures within which the ovum is developing. So it's the site of ovum production, and also is the place where the hormones are going to be made. In the cortex only, the ovum as well as the hormones are going to be made. Okay, ma'am, done. What about the medulla? Medulla is the core with blood vessels. It is going to help in what? Nourishment or providing functional support to all of it which is there. This is the only thing that you have to remember about the ovary. So ovary is known as primary sex organ. Why? Because it produces ovum and the ovarian hormone located on each side of the lower abdominal region. Yeah, in the lower abdomen you have it on both the sides. Size is what? 2 to 4 centimeter, connected to the pelvic wall and the uterus. I'm coming to that. Let's go ahead with what is there after that. Covered by thin epithelium, germinal epithelium, enclosing the ovarian stroma. Stroma is divided into two things, outer cortex and inner medulla. Now, they have also mentioned about ligaments and pelvic wall. What do you mean by that? So over here, look at this particular picture very carefully. This wall that you see over here, our body's wall right over here, is known as the pelvic wall. So the ovary which is there, if you see, it is attached to the uterus. It is attached to the uterus. This is going to be one ligament. This is going to be a ligament that is going to help attach the ovary to the uterus, such that it's not in the air. Similarly, to make sure that the positioning of the ovary is correct within this particular space, it is attached to another ligament as well. So there is another ligament that attaches this to what? The pelvic wall. So there is ovary which is attached to the uterus with the help of one ligament, and there is ovary which is attached to the pelvic wall with the help of another ligament. That is given in your NCERT. So the name of this ligament is known as suspensory ligament. Obviously not mentioned. This is why we will not be going deep into that, but just know about this. Okay, you have two ligaments out there. Apart from it, you know what? To keep all of it in place, this thing that you see at the back side, no, what is this? You know, it's another ligament that is known as broad ligament. When you talk about uterus, okay, we will be talking about that the uterus attaches to the pelvic wall. Same thing, uterus attached to the pelvic wall with the help of what? The broad ligament which you see over here. So when ovary is being discussed, just remember these two ligaments, one to uterus, one to pelvic wall. When uterus is being discussed, know that there is one more ligament that is going to help in attachment of it to the pelvic wall, and that is known as broad ligament. Again, the name of the ligament is not given in your NCERT. Anyways, so have we covered each and every point given in NCERT? Size is 2 to 4, sorry, not 2.4. Connected to the pelvic wall and the uterus by ligaments? Yes, ma'am. Done. So everything that's there in our NCERT is officially being completed. Please try to remember it. Now the next thing that we are going to go up to is the female accessory duct. We were talking about the primary organ. Now we are talking about the duct. The duct includes oviduct, uterus and the vagina. Three of them we discussed in the first picture itself. If you remember, we discussed three of them in this particular picture. There is oviduct that is going to transfer. Duct means what? It's a place so that the ovum can be transferred. The gamete can be easily transferred. The next place is uterus, and the last place is what? The vagina. These three portions becomes what? The accessory ducts in the case of the females. And we are going to study about each of them separately. Okay, uterus and vagina can be taught together, but oviduct is a whole separate thing. Okay, so oviduct is this particular tube that you see from here to here, and you actually have another name for it. You can also call this as the fallopian tube. Okay, this is also known as the fallopian tube. And I said when I talk about the oviduct right over here, it can be divided into three parts. One, just a second. Okay, come on, work. Actually, there's some glitch, I think. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, this part that we have over here looks like a funnel shaped thing, and every one has a particular feature. It is funnel shaped. What do you call this as? This is the first part, and it is known as infundibulum. It is known as infundibulum. And infundibulum has finger-like projections like this. infundibulum has finger-like projections like this. What do you call this as? You call this as fimbriae. What does it do? It goes like on the ovary and say, "Macha, give me some ovum, give me some ovum." So it's actually like that to make sure that the ovum is not lost anywhere. It just connects, it just collects all of it and let it go in the oviduct. That is why we have fimbriae. Fimbriae is a part of what? The funnel shaped structure, which is known as infundibulum. Infundibulum is what? The first thing that we see. Okay. The next portion that we have over here is actually a wider region. So about this, here you have funnel shape. This is going to be a wider region. That is a unique feature. What do you call this wider region as? It's known as the ampulla. It is known as the ampulla. And finally over here, you have a narrow region. Narrow. This is the unique feature about it. And what do you call this? Isthmus. What do you call this? Isthmus. So we have infundibulum, ampulla and isthmus. This is the first guy, this is the second guy, and this is the third guy. I can also remember it as IAI, infundibulum, ampulla and isthmus. Infundibulum is a bigger name, which is why this portion is going to be very, very big. And isthmus is going to be narrow. Okay, cool. Now listen to me very carefully. When I say that ovum is being released, usually it goes and waits there. I told you, for the sperm to come. Where does it wait? Exactly, according to your NCERT. It waits over here in the ampulla. It waits over here in the ampulla. This is very, very, very important. So this is the place where the ovum is there. And this is the place, ovum is there, and this is the place where the fertilization is going to happen in future. The ovum and the sperm are going to come together at this particular location itself. Now, when I was studying, I always tell this because in some NCERT you might be having the older NCERT. In that it is mentioned as ampullary isthmic region. That means between the ampulla and the isthmus is the place where fertilization happens. But according to the new NCERT text, they have made it to ampulla. Please make sure you check it. So that is a place where fertilization is going to happen. Okay, and if at all you talk about the length of the entire oviduct, it is almost 10 to 12 centimeter long. It is going to be almost 10 to 12 centimeter long structure. Cool. Now let's read about it. Oviduct is fallopian tube. Length is what? 10 to 12 centimeter. Extends from the ovary to the uterus. Okay, parts are what? Infundibulum, which is funnel shaped and it is near the ovary. Okay, fimbriae, finger-like projections that collects the ovum. So this is the finger-like projection that is collecting the ovum. Then you have ampulla, the wider mid part. So this is the ampulla, which is the middle part and is going to be wider in nature, where fertilization is going to occur. Then we have isthmus, the narrow part connects to the uterus. So we have isthmus right over here. Okay, it is a narrow part and it connects things to the uterus. Done, ma'am. Okay, cool. So this is about the oviduct. This is just one accessory duct that we are having. Now we are going to talk about the uterus and the vagina. Okay, uterus and the vagina can be dealt together. Now again, 5-marker question. This particular diagram that you have of the female reproductive system is a 5-marker question and we need to prioritize it while we study. So let's go ahead and make it by ourselves. Okay, it's very easy. Just make sure you listen to me very, very carefully. Okay, and I am not a good, person who draws really, really good on board. So, but I'll still try. So just let's go like this and let this part also go like this. Works. Okay, here you have to make something like this. Here also you have to make something like this. Cool. It's like a big person having 2 small legs, right? Yes. Okay, anyways. And then you can just extend it like this. And from here also extend like this. Make some line like this. Okay. Now this is the most difficult part that I have. Over here, make a half moon. Is it a half moon there? No, it's not. So we'll just erase it and we'll make a proper one. Just give me a second. Okay, yes, cool, fine. Here, the first thing that we need to draw before we go ahead with anything would be ligament and the ovary. Similarly, ligament and the ovary. Got it, ma'am. Now, here we can go backwards also. Make some finger-like projections like this. Similarly, make some finger-like projections like this. Got it? And you can just go backwards like this. come, make a broader region, and then make a shorter region, and then make a shorter region. Got it? Similarly, over here, let's go. Let's join this to this. Let's make a broader region. Let's make a shorter region. Now, obviously, it might not match, but yeah, somehow it does, right? Okay, cool. Or let me just erase it and make it a better. Okay, cool. Somewhat similar. Fine. Listen to me very, very carefully from this point onwards, because I'm going to tag everything. This is your ovary. Okay. This is what? The ligament. Okay. This is going to be the fimbriae, the finger-like thing that collects things. This is going to be the infundibulum, ma'am. This is funnel shaped. This is going to be the ampulla. This is going to be the isthmus. Now, while you draw, make a line like this and draw like that. Cool, cool. Okay. Now, here also you have the same thing. This portion, ma'am, we know it's known as the vagina. And this is basically the uterus, right? Yes. Now, this portion that you see right over here, it's lower part of the uterus. What do you call this as? This is your cervix. This is going to be the cervix. And here, this space in between the cervix is known as the cervical canal. It is known as the cervical canal. So the penis which is inserted, it inserted only until this particular point. It cannot go beyond it. The sperms, they can travel through the cervix and get inside. Okay, but the penis does not. Please do know that. So this is the cervix. In between that, you have the cervical canal, and then you have the vagina. Okay. And this is where the baby is going to develop. Now, let me tell you one very important thing. When the baby fully develops and tries to move out, it moves out through the small region, that is the cervical canal, and then through the vagina. All of it is small. And you must understand the pain a mother might be undergoing, which is why you should be saying thank you to her every single day, because it's a humongous task, because this has to enlarge. It's so painful that the whole baby, the full baby, has to travel through this route, which you cannot. And this is a picture that I'm making. Obviously, a human being cannot be this big. It's going to be a small structure which is there in our body. So just imagine that. Anyway, so this cervical canal plus the vagina which is there, the cervical canal plus the vagina, the opening that you have, both places together, both of it make something which is known as the birth canal. Again, do not mug it up, understand. It is known as the birth canal. Why? Because there's a space over here and this vagina. Obviously, the baby is being formed over here. It has to move through this. That is why you call this as the birth canal. Okay. Now, when I talk about the uterus, obviously you have to go ahead and you have to understand what are the different parts of it, or different. So uterus has a wall layer, and basically there are different walls up there. So this is the uterus. I'll put it at the top, and here we're going to talk about the walls. The first wall that we have is the perimetrium. What is it known as? Perimetrium. P for perimetrium and P for what? Protection. It is the protective layer out there, and do know the feature about it. It is going to be a thin layer, thin protective layer that we have. Just beneath this, you have the nest layer out there, which is going to be muscular. Okay, just a second. It is going to be muscular layer which is there, and this muscular layer which is there is known as myometrium. M for myometrium and M for muscular. What is the use of this muscular layer? When the baby is fully formed, okay, and it has to move out, obviously you need someone to contract and relax the uterus, such that it can push the baby outside. So that contraction and relaxation happens in the muscle cells of the myometrium. And please do know, what are these muscles? When I say it's a muscular layer, what is it made up of? It is made up of smooth muscles. So there are two types of muscles that we should be knowing: skeletal and smooth. Skeletal is something that we have over here. We can do like this. The reason being that it's under our control. It's voluntary, but we have smooth muscles in our body at the places where you can imagine. For example, in your heart, it's there. In our esophagus, is there. So wherever there is contraction, relaxation happening without our notice, and there is not voluntary, these muscles are what? Smooth muscles. And just like that, we have smooth muscles right over here also. So do remember, it is muscular layer and it is going to be smooth muscles. And when I say it's muscular, obviously it has to be a thick layer that is there. So the first one is thin, the next one is going to be thick layer. Now, the most important layer, according to your NCERT, is the innermost layer that we have over here. And the innermost layer that we have over here, Baba, is known as what? The endometrium. The endometrium. And what is the unique feature about endometrium that we have? That it's a glandular layer. It is richly supplied with glands. Why? Suppose fertilization took place over here. There is zygote formation. Zygote transforms into embryo by division, and the embryo will come over here and get into the endometrium for providing nourishment. Okay, for getting the nourishment out there. So this endometrium has to be glandular for doing that. So you have the glandular layer, and please do understand this is the layer that is going to undergo cyclic changes. What do you mean by that? Every time where there is no fertilization, this gland still prepare itself. Okay, but when it realizes there is no fertilization, it sheds off. So I can say next time again it is being made, again it sheds off. So this is undergoing cyclic changes. It is the layer that undergoes cyclic changes. The only layer that undergoes cyclic changes. Do remember it. Very, very, very important. Okay, so we have three layers: the perimetrium, which is thin protective layer; myometrium, which is going to be the muscular layer, and it is made up of which muscles? Smooth muscles, Baba. Okay, then we have endometrium, which is going to be glandular layer, and this layer which is there, it is going to undergo cyclic changes. It is going to undergo cyclic changes. Very, very, very important. Done. Then we spoke about cervix, the lower part over here, cervical canal, and the vagina forms the birth canal as well. So uterus has been done and the vagina is also completed right over here. And do remember, if at all we see the shape of it, it looks like an inverted pear. So how does a pear look? Pear, basically, you might have seen that fruit, it looks something like this. Okay, so this is the opposite, ulta version of it. It looks like that. So we say uterus is going to be looking like an inverted pear, and it is held by ligaments attached to the pelvic wall. I showed you the picture over here. In that particular picture, you saw some ligaments over here attaching the uterus to what? The pelvic wall out there. I'll be showing that picture again. This is the ligament that you have. And what do you call them? Broad ligament. What do you call it? The broad ligament. Are you? Okay? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Yes, and over here we have the uterus opens into vagina through a narrow cervix. Cervical canal plus vagina is equals to the birth canal, discussed. Uterine wall layers of perimetrium, myometrium, endometrium. Perimetrium is a thin outer membrane, right? Done, and is therefore protection, P for protection. Myometrium, M for muscular layer, and is thick smooth muscle layer contracting during delivery. Okay. Endometrium is the inner glandular layer, undergoes cyclic changes in the menstrual cycle. It undergoes cyclic changes in the menstrual cycle, and always remember it's the innermost layer that is there. Done, ma'am. Cool. And this particular diagram, as I said, gives what? Gives you 5 marker, MQB model question paper 3, draw a label diagrammatic view, female reproductive system. And also one more thing that I missed right over here, this portion that you have is known as uterine fundus. This is known as the uterine fundus. Cool, cool, done. Then let's go and talk about the female external genital organ as well. And that's how we are gonna finish this, the female part. Okay, female external genital organ means something that is outside the body and it's helping in the process of copulation, right, in some or the other way. Okay, fine. Let's go ahead and talk about it. When I say this, there is a lot of confusion around this particular topic, and I genuinely understand why. Because obviously in our NCERT, you will not be having a picture which exactly looks like how it looks. Okay, so this is how generally the female external genitalia looks. Now this is just a picture, an animated form of it. And for understanding this, there is something that is there. Just imagine the women with crossed legs out there, okay, that is spread legs out there. It is going to look something like this, and this is not a matter of shame. This is basically a very important thing in terms of education. Have a knowledge about your body. This is super important. okay, and have a knowledge about others' body as well. That is also super important to respect them whenever needed. Yes. So over here we have what? There is a cushiony layer at the top. This cushiony layer which is there, it is basically made up of fat and things like that. It's known as mons pubis. And the moment a female hits puberty, this is a region where they will be having hairs as well. Why hair? For protection, for trapping any organism which is up there. Okay, now extending from the mons pubis, you have fleshy fold of tissue. And this fleshy fold of tissue which is there, just give me a second. Okay, this fleshy fold of tissue which is going to be there is known as the labia majora. Labia majora. So this is mons pubis, that is the first part. Then you have labia majora. These are two separate folds which are coming together right over here. Inside the labia majora, Baba, you have another thing which is known as the labia minora. Okay, this is known as what? The third one, which is known as labia minora. This is also fleshy fold. Now listen to me very, very carefully. The point where it attaches with each other, it is going to form a small sensitive thing, a region which is made up of erectile tissue, just like how you have penis in the case of males, which is having erectile tissue. Similarly, the junction of labia minora forms a sensitive area which also has erectile tissue, and this area is known as clitoris. This structure which is being formed is known as what? Clitoris. Okay, and when it gets excited, females over here becomes excited in the sexual intercourse process. Cool. Within the labia minora which is there, so this area which is there, that is labia majora, again when a woman hits puberty, there will be hair in this particular area as well. But labia minora is just a fleshy fold of tissue. It's there to provide protection to certain openings which are there over here. The first opening that we have over here is going to be the vaginal opening. This is the vaginal opening. So where does the vaginal opening lead to? To the uterus, that is to the female reproductive system, right? At the top of it, over here, you have another opening, and this opening is known as what, Baba? The urethral opening. It is known as the urethral opening. Urethral opening means inside it, if you go, what do we get? Urinary bladder. That means the female excretory system. So I told you in the case of male, they have a common passage, but that's not the case in the case of females. In the case of females, you have two separate openings out there, and they are very, very important. So this is the vaginal opening, and this is going to be the urethral opening, which is going to be there. And just at the top of it, both the labia minora is going to come together to form the clitoris. This forms your external genital organ. And repeating, at the top we have the fat cushiony layer, which is known as mons pubis. Then there is fleshy fold of tissue, two of them. This is known as labia majora. Inside the labia majora, you have two other fleshy folds. This is known as labia minora. And within the labia minora, you have two opening, vaginal opening and the urethral opening. The point at which both of them attaches is known as, is forming a structure which is known as, it's highly sensitive, it's known as clitoris. Now, one more very important thing before I go ahead, and that is the vaginal opening which is there, it is partially covered by a membrane which you call as hymen. Now, it was a long belief that if the hymen is being torn off, it's been, what do you say, ripped apart, it means that a female has lost her virginity, or she has, what do you say, taken part in the sexual intercourse process. It was thought like that, and I always tell about this. It was initially, when it's still now being followed in areas where education has not reached much. Okay, in that case, if at all you are someone who is educated about it, you should be educating others as well. Anyways, so initially white bed sheets were being put, okay, after marriage. Why? To check whether a person has already lost the virginity or not. Because if she has not lost the virginity, there won't be red blood stains. If she has, then the hymen has been torn up, and that's why the red blood stains would be coming. That was the belief. But that's true? No, absolutely not. Listen to me very carefully. The hymen can be torn off because of several reasons. It could be possible if at all someone does some excessive physical activity, for example, some humongous exercises or some horse riding, bicycling is very common, such that the hymen can be torn. So please understand that hymen is not, and this is a very important question in terms of MCQ in KCET and second PUC as well, hymen is not an indicator of sexual intercourse or basically of the virginity. And do you understand why do you call it partially covering membrane? Because you know a female menstruates every single month. Where does the blood go through? So there are some small openings out there in this hymen through which the blood is going to be passed through. Okay, so that is why you call it partially covering membrane. Now that's a very thin layer which is there. Cool, and it's not an indicator of sexual intercourse or virginity. Please to remember that. Now over here I have the picture of the external genitalia, which you guys need to know. So it looks almost like this. So the mons pubis has not been mentioned, but here you have this fleshy fold of skin. This is the labia majora onto which the hair can be grown. Just inside this there is another fleshy fold of skin, that is labia minora. When both of them come together, it forms a structure that is known as clitoris. Okay, it's a sensitive area, it is known as clitoris. Just beneath it there is an opening. What is this opening? This is known as the urethral opening, and just beneath it again you have an opening. This opening which is there is known as the vaginal opening, and the vaginal opening is covered by the hymen. Cool. Cool. What is written over here? Mons pubis is the fatty cushion with skin and pubic hair. Labia majora is a fleshy fold surrounding the vaginal opening. Labia minora, inner pair folds. Okay, they are also folds only, but they are inner pair folds beneath the labia majora. Okay, beneath the labia majora, what do you have? Labia minora. Hymen is there. This is thin membrane partially covering the vaginal opening. Okay, may break due to various activities as well. What is clitoris? Small sensitive structure at the junction of labia minora above the urethral opening. So above the urethral opening, do you have clitoris? Yes, that's there. All of it forms a part of the external genital system in the case of females. Is it clear? Now, if at all someone asks you this picture, is it clear or not? So this is a female who's standing like this on one side. So here at the back side, there is one opening, that is a rectal opening, through which basically the undigested food is going to pass on. Then the next opening right over here is going to be the vagina, which opens into what? The uterus and everything out there. Then in front of that there is another opening, that is going to be urethral opening, that opens into the urinary bladder. And finally over here we have the clitoris out there. So this is how things are being arranged, and yes, this is given in your NCERT, and do you understand it now? I hope you do. So everyone who feels that yes ma'am, it's totally clear for me, I've understood it, put it down in the comment section that ma'am, yes, it's super clear. It will be really good if you do so. Why? Because I'll get an understanding that my children have probably reached until this particular point, have understood things and are super clear with it. Right? Yes. Now we go ahead with the next thing, that is the mammary gland. By this we are going to end up the female reproductive system as a whole as well. So mammary gland will be the last thing that we are having. So in the case of male reproductive system, you saw accessory glands, seminal vesicle, and this and that were there. So here you do not have much glands to study, just one gland, that is mammary gland. It's not an accessory gland, it's just a gland that is there for production of milk once a female is basically pregnant. Right? So over here, what are the parts and how do you remember it? And is the diagram important? Again, a 5-marker question. Mammary glands diagram, 5-marker question. Draw a neatly labeled diagram of the sectional view of mammary gland, MQP2, question number 36. So they gave 3 diagrams in MQP 1, 2 and 3. One of it actually came in the examination. So it usually comes like that. And I think it was mammary glands picture that had come. Anyways, so we're going to talk about it, and how do we talk about it? So for that, didn't I add anything? No, I have not added. Oh, I have added. Just a second. Just a second. Okay, then we'll add a new page. This page might not be there, so guys, I request you to please make sure you take a screenshot of this. Okay. Anyways, so over here I remember it like this: dal fell on mat. That's the easiest way of how I can remember things. Dal fell on mat. So we have mat over here, M-A-T, and then we have D-A-L. Listen to me carefully. The M that is here stands for mammary lobes. So inside the mammary gland, you have almost 15 to 20. How many? About 15 to 20 mammary lobes are there. Inside each lobe, you have so many, what? You have so many alveoli. So A over here stands for alveoli. Alveoli is a space, it's a cavity that is filled with what? That will be filled with milk when the mother is going to lactate. Okay, now the alveoli which is there, it is going to open into something, and what do you call this as? This is going to be known as the tubule. It is going to be known as the tubule. So basically I can say it is the mammary tubule that you have right over here. The tubule which are there, they open up together to form something else which is known as the duct. So we have the mammary duct in the next position. The ducts which are there, they open into the next thing that is known as the ampulla. Ampulla, right? And the ampulla finally opens into something that is known as the lactiferous ducts. Okay, so I'll just repeat it. First, we have mammary lobes. Lobes have so many alveoli, which is cavity which is filled with milk and all. And the alveoli opens into mammary tubules. Tubule open into duct. Duct open into ampulla, and ampulla into lactiferous duct. Now, how do you remember, ma'am? A and A is there. One is alveoli, one is ampulla. How do we remember which one comes first? So ampulla ends with a la, and the next thing that we have is lactiferous duct. So you can remember like that. Now, to draw the picture, it's not a humongous task, but yes, it is difficult, not denying that. Just give me a second. But not too difficult if at all you have a quick practice. Just give me a second. So I'll just make it once more. Over here. Yes, this is how it's there in your NCERT. And at the back side, what do you have, Baba? At the back side, you have the ribs. This is basically nothing, but you are showing that the ribs are passing through this. Okay, and here you would be having the muscles. So there is ribs, there is the muscle and everything out there. And surrounding it, what do you have in the mammary gland? The most important thing that you have is going to be what? It's going to be the fat. So there is definitely a lot of fat up here. So you just make it fat, 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 fat. Similarly, make fat over here also. Is there for protection. Okay, and also for nourishment at times. Cool? Yes. Now, listen to me very, very carefully. Over here, I told you there are lobes. Now, lobes, if at all you want to make it, you can make it. But it will be too much difficult for you. Why? Because you want to make 15 to 20 lobes out there. So, you can directly start off with something else, which is what? The alveoli. And the alveoli can be a tree-like thing. So, make multiple of them. Cover it until this particular point. It will be easy. Okay, so I'm just making it like this, such that no space is going to be left. Okay, this is going to be a group of it. Again, make another group of it over here. Okay, and then another group over here. And from here, we have to be a little careful. So if at all you want, you can segregate into like lob thing. If you want, you can go ahead. Otherwise, it's okay also. Okay, anyways. Now listen to me. Here you have the tubule. This is going to be one tubule, suppose. Here, where is it? Don't say it went. It went, guys. It went. Just give me a second. I'll just redraw it and probably we'll come to it. So, probably I'll draw it over here because it will not go. I'll cut this portion, okay? So, 42 seconds, cool. Okay guys, so I'm back with almost the same diagram, but not exactly the same, obviously. So this particular thing that you see over here is going to be what? It's going to be your alveoli. Done ma'am. Okay. The alveoli, listen, this thing is something that we have to remember. Alveoli opens into what? It has to open into tubule. So let's make the tubule. Suppose this is one tubule, this is another tubule, this is going to be another tubule. Okay, suppose this is a tubule that we have. Tubule, tubule, and tubule. Similarly, tubule, tubule, and tubule. What do I mean by that is the alveoli which is there. Now you can just join it. The alveoli which is going to be there, each of the alveoli is going to open into what? A tubule. Okay? It is going to open into a tubule. That will be easy for us if we draw like that. So this white portion that we see is what? It's going to be the tubule. Mammary tubules. Now the tubules which are there, they are going to come together and they are going to open into what, Baba? They are going to open into the duct. So this is going to be the duct. Similarly over here, make a bigger tubule, okay, make a bigger duct, join it up over here. This is the next duct that we have. Similarly over here, we have another duct which is going to be formed. What is this thing that we have? Is going to be known as the mammary duct. The mammary duct. Ducts opens into wall, the ampulla. So this is one, the ampulla is joining. Here also the ampulla is joining. You have got, so suppose these two join together. Okay, just a second. I'll just erase this. Suppose these two join together, this duct and this duct. Here it was a duct, here it was a duct. These two ducts join together to form what? The ampulla. Similarly over here, there is one ampulla like this also, imagine. Now the ampulla together are going to come together like this. Now you do not have to do segregation over here because that will be very, very difficult. So what do? You just make something like this and make all the lines come over here. That's all. That's all. This particular portion which comes together over here is going to be known as the lactiferous ducts. The lactiferous duct. The bottom line is the ampulla comes together to form the lactiferous duct. And this portion becomes what? The nipple. It becomes the nipple. This is how we can just draw the diagram and get our marks. Okay, you do not have to be a Picasso out there, a great drawer out there. If at all, you at least can make this, that would be more than enough and you will be getting your marks as well. Cool. I hope this is super clear for all of you. Okay, so let's just read it for once. I have come to spermatogenesis because I didn't find any place to draw. The paired structure is known as breast with glandular tissue and fat. Obviously, there is glandular tissue which is there, and along with that, there's a lot of fat as well. 15 to 20 mammary lobes are there with clusters of milk secreting alveoli. These alveoli are where the milk is being stored up there. Now, milk stored in alveolar lumens. Lumens means the cavity which is there in the alveoli. No, the space which is there within the alveoli is going to be known as the lumen. Further, alveoli is going to open into mammary tubules. Tubules are going to open into what? The mammary duct. It is going to open into the mammary duct. Further, the ducts merge together to form the ampulla and the ampulla come together to form the lactiferous duct. And that's where the milk is going to eject through. Here, in this picture, did I draw something differently? You only say. You only say. Does it look similar? Here you had the tubules, small structure. The tubules are opening into duct. This is going to be the duct. Ducts comes together to form the ampulla. That's it. Yeah, this is the ampulla which is going to be formed by multiple ducts out there, and the ampulla comes together to form the lactiferous ducts. So instead of making too much of things, you can just draw a little bit of it. Okay? Yes, that's all. Okay, and if you're not able to fill this space, as I said, make the alveoli a little more in the front. You will be finding the space out there. Cool. So that's about the mammary glands, and I think, Baba, with that we have covered the female as well as the male reproductive system as a whole. And now we are going to go ahead to the next topic, which is going to be what? Spermatogenesis. That is the next topic that we have right over here. And again, I think we have covered almost what do you say, 50 extra minutes out there. So I'll just stop right over here, just revise whatever you have studied, okay, and come back if at all you have crossed unto this particular point. Tell me the flow of the entire mammary gland. It's a KCET level of question, and again, very important question which is there. Okay, the whole flow of mammary gland, you have to tell me. Post this, we are going to cover spermatogenesis, then oogenesis, then we will talk about the menstrual cycle which is there. Okay, after the menstrual cycle, fertilization, and we'll also talk about implantation, parturition, gestation, and all of it is going to be finished up quickly. Now, just the long part I think would be oogenesis and menstruation, but it is going to be sorted. Cool. So let me know if at all you remember the whole flow of the mammary gland right now in the comment section. Try it out. Okay, so now it's time for the next topic out there, and that is spermatogenesis. So Baba, until now, whoever have reached until this point, give a huge tap on your back because you guys deserve it. You guys are awesome. Now, we have studied about the male and the female reproductive system. Within the male and the female reproductive system, how are these gametes going to be formed? That is what we are going to discuss right now. So that is known as gametogenesis. We discussed in the first part of this particular chapter. Gametogenesis means what? Formation of gametes. So first we'll talk about spermatogenesis. We'll see how the formation of sperm happens, and then we'll talk about oogenesis. That means how the formation of ovum happens. Post that we will be talking about menstruation, we'll be talking about fertilization, we'll be talking about a lot of other things, and we'll complete the chapter in one go. So that's a challenge that we have for both of us. I'll also try to complete it in one go. You also try to complete it in one go. So let's go ahead. Yes. But at the moment where you feel that, oh my God, ma'am, I cannot go ahead, you can pause. Okay, that's not an issue at all. So let's go with spermatogenesis. That's a very important topic, and it's a very easy one as well. So let's go. Over here, we know that within the seminiferous tubules, what do you have? You had the spermatogonia. Remember, spermatogonia were doing what, Baba? They were responsible for the formation of the gametes. They were known as the sperm mother cell or the germ cell mother cell out there. And to nourish them, what do you have? You have the Sertoli cells. So the spermatogonia which is there, I'm going to make it right over here. Okay, this is our spermatogonia. Okay, ma'am, cool, got it. Now, what is the number of chromosome here in the spermatogonia? Baba, always remember, it's a normal cell. It is going to become the sperms later on. So if it's a normal cell, it will be having the normal number of chromosome. I'll say it is known as diploid. The ploidy of this is known as what? Diploid. Diploid means it has double the number of chromosome. In a normal cell, you have double number of chromosomes. So we say in a normal cell, we have 46 number of chromosomes. Okay, but in the gametes, it becomes 23, half of it. And we'll see how that happens. So this is spermatogonia. The spermatogonia is going to undergo one very important division, which is known as mitosis. Now, ma'am, I know what is mitosis. With the help of mitosis, the number of cells are going to increase, but the chromosome number remains the same. As in, this cell which is there, Baba, it is going to divide into two for sure. Okay, number of chromosome, does it remain the same? Yes, it remains the same here also. It remains diploid only. Only that I'm just increasing the number of cells. Cool. Now what? Now when you have got two cells, this is just one scenario. About one spermatogonia I'm talking about right now. When it divides, you get two cells. One cell says that I want to be like my dad. I want to divide further, okay, and increase my numbers. That's all. But the other one says that I actually want to become the sperm. Okay, I have a passion, I have to become the sperm. You can go ahead and divide yourself. That is not an issue. So this guy says that, okay, I will maintain the hierarchy of our family and do things like that. I'll maintain the number of cells out there. You go and make the sperm. It's very happy to do so. So it's going up. So listen to me. This cell which is there, I'll say it gets differentiated. It gets differentiated as in it's not dividing, but it has having some changes within the cell itself. This is known as differentiation. What do you call this? Differentiation. Do understand, it's not division. Okay, it's just getting matured. It's known as differentiation. The number of chromosome obviously remains the same.
This cell which is there, it has just got differentiated. I will have a name for it. This is known as the primary spermatocyte. It's known as the primary spermatocyte. Cool. Now I told you that is going to form the sperm. Yes. So from this point onwards, I'm going to put things over there and we can understand things from here. So this is going to be our primary spermatocyte. And the primary spermatocyte from this point onwards is going to undergo a division which we all need, and that is meiosis. If you want to form the gametes, you have to undergo meiosis. So meiosis happens in 2 stages, Baba. So this is the first stage, meiosis 1. Where what do you get at the end of it? You get 2 cells. You get 2 cells. Now you tell me, is it going to be like mitosis where the number of chromosomes remains the same? No. It is going to be different. This meiosis is known as reductional division. The number of chromosomes become half. So if it was 2n over here, it becomes n. So that means if at all we had 46 number of chromosomes in these cells, here it will be just 23. What do you call this condition as? Where you have only half of it. It is known as haploid. It's known as haploid condition. What is this? This is going to be diploid just like how it was over here. This guy is going to be haploid from this point onwards. Right? Now, what do you call this haploid cell as? The first haploid cell that we have is known as the secondary spermatocyte. It is known as the secondary spermatocyte. And here, reductional division have taken place already. Now, does it undergo meiosis once more? Yes, because I told you meiosis happens in 2 stages. So, this is going to be the second round of meiosis, meiosis 2. It is compulsorily going to happen in 2 stages. This cell also divides. So, ma'am, again the number of chromosomes become half? No, it remains the same. Halving happens only in the first stage of meiosis, and that has taken place. Now you just divide the cell. It's just like mitosis, but anyway this is known as meiosis 2 because it happens in 2 stages. The number of chromosomes remains the same. So, ma'am, we have got these sperms? Ideally not. So listen to me very carefully. These things that are formed over here, you have a name for it. What do you call this as? They are known as spermatids. Spermatids. Now spermatids are like kids. They are immature. The small kids which are there, they are immature. Similarly, spermatids are like kids. Why do I say that they are immature? The reason being that they have not formed the entire shape of the sperm. They are globular. They are round in structure. And do you think the sperm is round in structure? No, it is elongated in structure. So we have to do that change. We would have to do that change. Okay, so until now what we were talking about spermatogenesis, how sperms were being formed. And over here I'm going to talk about another term which you need to remember. Okay, which you need to remember, and that is the process where these spermatids are going to differentiate into what? These spermatozoa. Spermatozoa is the thing that we were looking forward for. Spermatozoa. This is the mature one, and this process is very important for you to remember. It's known as spermiogenesis. I will give it a name. Just give me a second. Okay, until now it was not happening. Okay. It is known as spermiogenesis. What do you mean by that? Sperm said that, Macha, I want to become me. I cannot remain like you, a small kid. I want to mature. I want to become me. So this is spermiogenesis that is happening up over here, where the immature spermatids convert into the mature spermatozoa. And finally, these spermatozoa are going to move out of the seminiferous tubule. That process of moving out is known as what? Spermiation. Is known as spermiation. How do I remember it? Aviation. Just like that, I will remember it. So in your NCERT textbook, it is written that the process of moving out to the sperm from the seminiferous tubule, what do you call this? Spermiation. Just to make you understand things, listen to me very carefully. We were talking about the whole spermatogenesis. Here we started off with spermatogonia. This cell divided into 2 cells. One cell said that I will be like this. So again, it is going to divide. Okay, what happens over here? This particular cell, if at all you see the fate of this particular cell, this is going to divide again into 2 cells. This one says I'll be like my dad. This one says I'll be forming the sperm. So we'll always get this one. That is why in the case of males, even until the person dies, there is spermatogenesis. Okay, in the case of females, it is not like that. Here in the case of males, every single age the man can produce sperm, because in their body spermatogenesis can happen, because you always have that one cell to go and continue the hierarchy out there. Okay, now this cell that we have got, by the way, how did we divide? Mitosis. So number of chromosome remains the same. Yes, ma'am, it remains diploid. Here also it remains diploid. Now one cell says that I am going to mature, I am going to differentiate, and I will be becoming the cell that is going to finally divide to form the sperm. What do you call the cell as? This is known as the primary spermatocyte. Will the number of chromosome remain the same? Yes, ma'am, perfectly. Primary spermatocyte is going to be diploid itself. From this point, it's going to undergo meiosis. When it undergoes meiosis, always understand it happens in two stages. First stage, it's a reductional division, where the 2n which was there, the diploid which was there, it will be becoming haploid. Half the number of chromosomes will be divided to each of these cells. What do you call them? This is known as the secondary spermatocyte. Now the secondary spermatocyte that we have got right now, Baba, they're going to divide again, because as I told you, meiosis happens in two stages. So it is dividing again. You get N and N. 4 cells are lined up over here. Are this the sperm? No, they are not the sperm. You need to do a little more maturation out there. These are spermatids. They are like kids. They have to mature to form long, elongated sperm that are known as what? Spermatozoa. Ma'am, what do you call this process as? Spermiogenesis. Sperm is saying that I want to become me. Spermiogenesis. Okay, finally the spermatozoa which are being formed in the seminiferous tubules, they are going to move out, and this is known as spermiation, aviation. Okay, so these are the few terms which are super important for you guys to know. Please try to remember it. Works, ma'am. All cool. So I hope this particular point is clear to you. Now if we go according to the picture that is given in your NCERT, over here we can see spermatogonia is there, mitosis, and then differentiation. Okay, primary spermatocyte we have got, first meiotic division, secondary spermatocyte, second meiotic division, spermatids, they again differentiates into what? Spermatozoa. This differentiation process is known as spermiogenesis. Now that is exactly what's given over here. If at all you have been asked this question, because that is a KCET question, that please tell me what is this, what is this, what is this, what is this? PQRS, they can tag like this. Always understand, go backwards. We know that this elongated is known as spermatozoa, then this will be known as spermatids. Spermatids are produced by secondary spermatocytes, and then you have the primary spermatocyte. It will be easy for you if you go backwards. Cool? Works, ma'am, works perfect. Now, the story of the mighty hormones. So if at all you're wondering right now that, ma'am, how exactly basically this particular process starts at puberty? Who gives the information that yes, spermatogenesis has to start at puberty? That's a very valid question, and for that you should receive a valid explanation. That's exactly why I'm right over here. So listen to me carefully. We are going to see the story of the mighty big hormones out there. So the first thing is that we all have brain. Do we have? Yes, ma'am, I have for sure. Okay, so in that case, but I'm not sure about me. Okay, so anyways, so we have the brain, and in the brain we have a structure that is known as hypothalamus. Very important. Okay, this hypothalamus is going to release a hormone. You have a name for it, GnRH. What does it stand for? It is standing for gonadotrophin releasing hormones. Gonadotrophin releasing hormones. That means that probably it is going to tell someone else to release gonadotropin, because it is giving the signal that, hey, you release the gonadotrophins, right? So there is someone else who is actually going to release the gonadotrophins. That is what you mean by that. Now if that is too much difficult for you to remember, just remember hypothalamus is releasing gonadotrophin releasing hormones. Okay, now these releasing hormones are going to act where? It's going to act at the second stop that we have. Just a second. Jim Jum Bra, come on. No? Not interested? Yes. Okay, we have the anterior pituitary gland. Anterior pituitary gland. Now ma'am, where is this? Again in the brain we have a gland that is known as anterior pituitary gland. So this is kind of grandfather, and this is the father that is there. Grandfather and father. Now always remember, pituitary gland which is there, no, it has two lobes. Okay, they are not separate. Two lobes are there. One is anterior and one is posterior. I'm talking about the anterior lobe right now, which is why I have mentioned anterior pituitary gland. So this guy tells this guy to release the gonadotropins. Okay, hey Macha, you release the gonadotropins. So what are the gonadotropins now? We have two gonadotropins. One H is going to be LH, luteinizing hormone, and the other one is going to be FSH, follicle stimulating hormone. My dear children, always remember these LH and FSH are released only by the pituitary gland, and no one in this entire body can do so. So if at all you have been asked the questions later on, placenta releases FSH, LH, you should know. No, it does not. No one can do it apart from pituitary gland. Okay, so we have luteinizing hormone and we have follicle stimulating hormone. This is there in the case of male. These hormones are there in the case of females also, because Baba, they also have brain. Their brain is also same like boys, right? So they will also have hypothalamus. They will also have anterior pituitary. The only thing is that the function over here and there is going to be different. Okay, ma'am. Right. Now, why do we need these two mighty hormones out there? And what do you call this? They are actually gonadotropins. They are known as gonadotropins because they are going to act on the gonads. Gonads means the place where the gametes are being formed, that is the testis. Okay, so in the testis we know what do we have? Testicular lobules. Inside the testicular lobules, what do we have? Seminiferous tubules, right? That is something that we have studied. This is the seminiferous tubule, suppose, and this is the space that we have. Over here, what do you have? Recollect, it is known as Leydig cell. We have Leydig cell, ma'am. Okay. Over here, what do we have? Ma'am, we have spermatogonia, ma'am. Okay, done deal. Then what do we have over here? We have one more cell, ma'am. What do you call this, ma'am? So basically this is known as Sertoli cell, right? Right. Now this LH which is there, it's going to act on the Leydig cell. It says that Macha Leydig cell, I am going to act on you. Please act really well, okay? So over here, it acts on the Leydig cells. Now what is the function of Leydig cell, Baba? What does the Leydig cell do? We all have studied it. They produce the male sex hormones. Who was giving the information to do so? LH was doing so, and you never realized the function of that, right? Now you know. So Leydig cell will be now releasing what? The male sex hormones, androgens. Male sex hormones, and the most famous, as I told you, in androgen is what? Testosterone. It produces testosterone. Got it? Now keep it there only. Keep it there. We'll need it. FSH, what is it going to do? FSH is going to say that, hey, I have Sertoli cells, I'm going to act on that. Okay, I have Sertoli cells, I will be acting on that. So we have the Sertoli cells. FSH, S is there, you can remember like that. Here L is there, L is there. Okay, FSH acts on the Sertoli cells. What does the Sertoli cell do? By the way, for those of you thinking that, ma'am, is teaching extra thing or is it the same thing that is there in the NCERT? Everything that I'm teaching you over here is from NCERT. Okay. And these questions have come, that is why I'm telling you, please pay attention. So, okay, Sertoli cells are there. What does it do? Ma'am, it does nourishment for the spermatogonia. Agreed. That's not an issue. It still does. Apart from it, it is going to release some factors. Under the influence of FSH, it is going to release some factors. They are actually known as androgen binding factors. What are androgens? These guys are androgens. And they are producing what? Androgen binding factors. Why? Let's see. So here what is going to happen within the seminiferous tubule, Baba, spermatogenesis is taking place, right? Spermatogenesis is taking place, ma'am. Primary spermatocyte, secondary spermatocyte, spermatids and everything is being forming over here. For that, don't you need the hormones? Yes, that is why LH was acting on the Leydig cells. Now what happens? The hormones which are released over here gets inside the seminiferous tubules, and helps in what? Doing the entire process of spermatogenesis. Agreed. So now, ma'am, what's the use of this? These factors which are released over here, that is androgen binding factors, they tell that testosterone, Baba, you stay here only, don't go anywhere. I am your binding factor. I'll bind to you and I'll make sure that your concentration is really high over here. Because you know what? These are hormones, they can move around. Okay, they can just go from this place. But we need it here. Why? For the process of spermatogenesis to happen. And that is exactly why we have to produce some factors which will say, Macha, you please be here, reminder. Okay, you can think like that. Apart from it, now in your NCERT, one very important line is written which made me go nuts. Okay, and it was like, FSH, if it's not there, what is going to happen? Now, if FSH is not there, the entire process of spermatogenesis is not going to happen because you need the binding factors and it does happen. No. That's one more function. Basically, if FSH is not there, one very important thing does not happen. So I was like, what is that thing? So listen to me carefully. We have formed the spermatids right now. We have to form the spermatozoa. Right? So we shall make it just a second, okay? So this is the spermatozoa that we are gonna make. Do you remember the name of this particular process? It looks like a mice with the tail and all. Do you remember the name of the process? Spermiogenesis. Remember? I want to become me. It is what? Spermiogenesis. So in your NCERT textbook, it is written, if at all FSH is not there, spermiogenesis gets affected majorly. Okay. So the entire process does not get affected. It does. But majorly it is spermiogenesis. Why? Have you ever thought about that? Well, if not, listen to me carefully. FSH acts on the Sertoli cells, agreed, and it produces factors. But that's not the only thing that FSH makes the Sertoli cell do. FSH is responsible for Sertoli cell for providing nourishment. That was the primary function. That is what we studied, right? Provide nourishment, help to form this sperm, So right over here, when the spermatids are being formed, you know it's globular in shape. You have to change the shape, you have to make the cell mature into spermatozoa. Okay, and that requires the help of Sertoli cells. So that is why it said if FSH is not there, basically it is not going to act on Sertoli cells. Sertoli cells will not be able to do this function, which is very, very important over here. So yes, it is important for the whole process, but majorly over here, because if at all you want to make a globular cell into elongated cell and all, obviously you need someone to deal with that. Obviously you need someone to take care of that, and that is the Sertoli cells. It does with the help of FSH. FSH gives the influence, Sertoli cells does the work. Got it? So please remember, if FSH is not there, what is the thing that majorly gets affected? Or it's not like only get affected, it's majorly get affected, it's spermiogenesis. Cool. I'll just repeat what we have learned. So we have the Pardada, that is basically the grandfather, hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is the much I am releasing gonadotropin releasing hormones. It releases, it goes and acts on what? Anterior pituitary. Okay, Bappa, I will be releasing gonadotropins now, LH and FSH, here you go. Now LH says that I am going to act on the Leydig cells and I'll make it produce what? Hormones, because these hormones are super important for the process of spermatogenesis. Okay, done. Okay, but the hormones are feeling like, oh, I cannot be always over here, I want to move out. So then someone else says, Macha, stop. I am basically, I am someone who is released by the Sertoli cells under the influence of FSH hormone. I am basically the factors. I'll make sure that you stay over here itself. Okay, that is the logic. That is the whole logic. Now the only step that you need to remember is FSH is super important for spermiogenesis. Why? Because these Sertoli cells definitely are going to help in the maturation of spermatids to spermatozoa. They have the ability to do so. Got it. This is something that you have to remember. Now, ma'am, have questions come on that, because you have given so much time into that. I really want to know whether questions have come or not. Let's check it out. So this is a 3-marker question that have come in MQP, that is again model question paper 3 of the previous year. Name the pituitary and testicular hormones involved in spermatogenesis. Pituitary hormones, luteinizing as well as follicle stimulating hormone. Testicular hormone, it's going to be androgens, that is your testosterone. Right. So what do you have to say? Name it. FSH, follicle stimulating hormone secreted by the anterior pituitary gland, acts on the Sertoli cells, the seminiferous tubules, and stimulates spermatogenesis. Agreed. Okay, LH, also called as interstitial cell stimulating hormone. If at all you do not want to remember it, it's totally fine. Just remember luteinizing hormone. Secreted by anterior pituitary gland, acts on Leydig cells of the testis and stimulates the secretion of testosterone. We have explained about both of the pituitary hormones. These are what? Anterior pituitary hormones. Now we have what? Testicular hormones. Testicular hormone is testosterone secreted by the Leydig cells of testis, essential for the initiation and maintenance of spermatogenesis to happen. Agreed. That's all. You have got a mark, ma'am. Is that all? Is that why you were wasting our entire time? No. We have the next question. Write the schematic representation of spermatogenesis. This is a 5-marker question. So you had to draw this. You had to explain this as well. Okay, you had to explain this as well. That's how you get the 5 marks. So make sure you go through this diagram. I've already showed you all of it. So you need not be worried. What is happening over here? Let's check. It's the same thing. Spermatogony is there, it undergoes mitosis. Suppose it underwent mitosis. Here again it underwent mitosis, is the same thing, do not be worried, okay? It underwent mitosis, one cell out of them basically became the primary spermatocyte and went on dividing it. So over here you have, so this cell which was there, it get differentiated, it again divides, okay? This cell which is there, it gets differentiated and it divides, undergoes meiosis 1. You have 2 secondary spermatocytes. This forms spermatids and they form spermatozoa. That is why I am saying, since there can be multiple mitosis happening before, it will be difficult for you if you go from the top to the bottom. Rather, if at all you go like this, it will be more easy. Now you don't have to make all of it. You can just make one spermatogonia, divide it and say that, divide it and show differentiation, just like how I showed, right? That will be more than enough. Your marks are not gonna go. Okay, this particular picture, like this you go, you make until this particular point and you say that it is a differentiation, you get the primary spermatocyte. Then from here, continue with these things out there. That's okay. That's totally fine. They're not going to cut your marks for that. Okay, now the next thing is draw a sectional view of seminiferous tubule of a human and label the following cells in the seminiferous tubule. So they have asked you to draw the sectional view of seminiferous tubule. So this is the sectional view of seminiferous. Okay, if you cut the seminiferous tubule, what do you see? Baba, over here we have this spermatogonium. Apart from it, in between we have the Sertoli cells. Then over here you just have to make similar cells at the top. Same thing over here at the top. What do? When you reach up over here, you are going to show some spermatids. So in this particular picture, even it's not clear what they are trying to show, but this is exactly what's there in NCERT. You have spermatogonium. From there you got the primary spermatocytes. From primary spermatocyte you got the secondary spermatocyte. From secondary spermatocytes, basically you had got the spermatozoa, which is like this, and this is the spermatids that they have shown. Obviously this cannot be the spermatid because it is not elongated structure, but okay, it is attached to the Sertoli cell. Why? As I told you, Sertoli cells helps in the conversion of the spermatids to spermatozoa. So this is a similar picture that you can go ahead and draw in that way. Anyway, you get marks. The only thing is that you have to be careful about the steps. So here spermatogonia, then primary, then secondary spermatocytes. Then you can make a globular structure and mention it as spermatids. And then finally, and make sure that globular structure is attached to the Sertoli cells. Okay, further you make elongated structure like this, which is known as spermatozoa. Cool. So this picture is there, but you also had to tag some certain things. Label the following: cells that divide by mitosis to increase their number. Cells that divide by mitosis to increase the number, it is going to be spermatogonia. So you have to label it over here. Cells that undergo meiosis, right first. Okay, cells that undergo meiosis 1, primary spermatocyte that undergoes meiosis 1. Cells that undergo meiosis 2, secondary spermatocyte, they undergo meiosis 2. Cells that help in the process of spermiogenesis, Sertoli cells. Right, FSH acts on the Sertoli cells, and cells that produce due to spermiogenesis, it is spermatozoa. So you have to tag all of them after making it. This is again a 5-marker question. This was in the question bank previous year. Cool. That's not all. There is one more question. No, one more question. I have kept it. Just a second. Let me check. It's somewhere there. Yes. Okay, I have not kept it, but listen to me very carefully. There's one more question, as in the role of FSH in the spermiogenesis process. You should know that, as I already told you, spermiogenesis, it means that conversion of spermatids to spermatozoa. For this, since the shape of the cell and everything is going to change, maturation is going to happen, it needs the help of Sertoli cells, which are officially known as the nurse cells out there. Under the influence of FSH, Sertoli cells are going to help in the whole process. That is why it is said it is very important for spermiogenesis. That's all. Small answer. Cool. Now you have got so many MCQs, I think, based on that. That's why I was not able to put it. Anyways, now the next part of this particular thing is the structure of the sperm. Okay, the entire structure of the sperm. Again, it's a very easy topic. Now, by the way, if you feel that, ma'am, it's too much, I cannot go beyond it, you can pause the video after the structure of the sperm for some time. Okay. Now, in the structure of the sperm, Baba, let's not waste time by drawing it, but you have to practice the diagram. Okay. You have few regions. I'll try to draw it by myself and I'll try to show it if we have time. Do we have time? Let's check it out. So this is the head region that is there. It is divided into 4 regions. There's the head, there is neck, there is middle piece, and there is going to be a tail. Okay, head, neck, middle piece, and the tail. In the head, you have 2 things. In the head, you have 2 things. Just like how we have in the head, our face is there and our brain is there, right? Similarly, over here, we have the haploid nucleus. Haploid nucleus means nucleus that contains half the number of chromosomes. Okay. Apart from it, at the top, this structure which is there is super important. It's known as acrosome. What do you call it? Acrosome. And what does it have? It's just like a missile. It has so many enzymes. These enzymes are hydrolytic enzymes. That means the one that breaks the hydrogen bonds and everything. They are hydrolytic enzymes. Ma'am, why is it storing hydrolytic enzymes at the top? So listen to me. The ovum that you're going to see, or probably the female germ cell that you're going to see, it is surrounded by a lot of bodyguards. And to make sure that it goes through all these bodyguards directly to meet the, the gamete out there, you need certain enzymes that can only break open all these layers and get into it. That is why you have acrosome at the top. And this acrosome is filled with what? Hydrolytic enzymes. Now, do you want me to write it? I can write it. Okay, I'll just write it. It is filled with hydrolytic enzymes. Cool. Now over here, as I said, below that, what do you have? You have the nucleus that is having the chromosomal material. Always remember, haploid nucleus only. Half the number of chromosome is only there. Now what? Now you have small chutku neck, very chutku neck. And then you have the middle piece. Middle piece is again super important. Why? Because it has mitochondria. Why do you think mitochondria is over there? Because it's a cell. But why do you think there are so many mitochondria? Actually, there are so many mitochondria. Why? Because these mitochondria are going to provide energy to the next part which is there, that is the tail. That is going to be the tail. So we have the middle piece, and the middle piece has so many mitochondria which gives energy to the next part which is going to be known as the tail. And you know what? I personally, after my post-graduation, I had an internship to do, and I did it in an infertility clinic, and there I saw lot of men coming with infertility issues, and the problem was not production of the sperm are there. Sperms were being there, but they were not motile. They were not motile. So because of so many reasons, it could be smoking, it could be some other stress and things like that, the sperms fully do not form properly, which is exactly why there could be motility issues. If they are not motile, how do you expect to go ahead inside the female reproductive system and basically fight with all the acid and all the enzymes and just reach there? It's so difficult, which is why fertilization does not happen. So please do note that. It's very important. Okay, so do note, first of all, sperm is going to be chuttu structure. It is microscopic in nature. You can just see it under the microscope. Okay, and over here it has few regions. Head is there. Head contains the haploid nucleus and the acrosome. Acrosomes is what? Super important. It contains the enzyme for fertilization to happen. The next thing that we have, which is missed over here, is what is going to be the neck. It's going to be the neck. Okay, after the neck, what do we have? We have the middle piece which contains the mitochondria, so many mitochondria which gives the energy for movement. Then we have the tail, it enables the sperm motility. Cool. Now, when you expect a man to ejaculate, how many sperms do you expect there? How many sperms do you think will be released per ejaculation? It's crazy number. It's almost, can you guess the number of sperms? It's almost 200 to 3 million. Okay, 200 to 3 million sperms are being released per ejaculation. How many? Please remember, important MCQ question, 200 to 300 million, not billion. Okay, million sperms are being released per ejaculation. Very important. And in this 200 to 300 million sperms, there are few rules. Again, important MCQ question. 60% of them, okay, should be in normal shape and size. 60% of them should be in normal shape and size, and out of that, 40% should be having good motility. Okay, 60% of them should be in good normal shape and size, and out of that, 40% should be at least motile. So you cannot expect all of them to be really good. Some of them are going to be bad, some of them are going to be of no use, but you need to understand that they have to reach what? The ampulla region of the reproductive tract, and for that lots of sperms are going to die. Only the best ones are going to reach up there, and only one is going to fertilize as well. It's crazy. So the proportion is very less, which is why I'm telling you 200 to 300 million sperms are released per ejaculation. Out of that, 60% normal shape and size, 40% should be motile. This percentage is important. They can ask you 60% motile and 40% normal shape and size. Wrong. 60% normal shape and size. First of all, at least bring the normal shape and size. Then only you can talk about motility, right? So 40% is going to be motile. Got it? This is very important, and if you want me to draw the structure of the sperm, I can do so. Over here, the first thing that you have to remember is, let's draw something like this. Okay. The problem is when I go ahead with diagrams, it takes a huge lot of time. Okay, this is where you have your acrosome. Okay, this is where you would be having the haploid nucleus. This is where you would be having the haploid nucleus. Further, you have the neck region right over here. This is the neck. And then you have a region like this where you would be having the mitochondria being arranged. This is going to be the mitochondria. Guys, just give me a second. Okay. Okay, this is the mitochondria that we are having over here, and then further, what do you have? You have the tail. you have the tail right up over here. So you have to make like this and make some circles right over here. Cool. This would definitely give you the marks. And from here to here in background, just make a line like this that goes to the tail. Cool. Yes. So that is it. But if you want to draw really well, you can go ahead and make a layer around it like this. Okay, the whole thing is being covered by a plasma membrane. Please do note that. The whole thing which is there is going to be covered by what? The plasma membrane. So here it goes and it joins up over here, and yes, it's not working. So if you wish, you can just draw that and mention that it is covered by the plasma membrane. Okay, now I'm not putting so much time into that because that's a very rare thing that the sperm diagram comes, but yes, you need to practice it. That is important. Cool. Yes, and I think that you can do from your end, because if I start doing it properly, it might take a lot of time. Okay, anyways, so that's all about spermatogenesis, and now we're gonna go ahead with the next topic, that is oogenesis. And I really want to say, if you need a break, you can just stop, pause the video and take your break and recollect what you have studied now. And after that, you can come back and go ahead with oogenesis. Now, oogenesis and spermatogenesis are going to be different. Why? Because spermatogenesis, in that we studied that it starts at puberty. Over here in oogenesis, it's going to start when you are inside your mother's womb itself, that is inside your mother's uterus itself. At that point itself, you have the process of oogenesis being started up, and there will be so many oogonia. There is going to be so many oogonia, and there is no more addition of oogonia that you're gonna see after this point. So as I told you, the spermatogonial cells, they divide by mitosis, increase in number each of the time. Each cell becomes destined to become the sperms, destined to divide to form the sperm cell. One remains like that to again form these things, right? So that is the general thing that is happening up there. But here, that is not the case. It begins during embryonic development. A couple of million oogonia form in the fetal ovaries. So there will be so many oogonia that is going to be formed with the help of mitosis. It will be there. No more new oogonia are added after the birth. No more new oogonia is added after the birth. And this is little bit tricky, oogenesis, but not too much. Okay, just understand the basics and it will be all clear. So first thing that I want to tell you is, when I say meiosis, or when I say mitosis, either way, it has four very important things that happens up there. Prophase, metaphase, anaphase and telophase, PMAT. Okay, if I say meiosis 1, then it will be prophase 1, meiosis 1, anaphase 1 and telophase 1. Similarly, when I say meiosis 2, again these all things happen, but this time prophase 2, metaphase 2, anaphase 2 and telophase 2. Always in meiosis, 2 stages happens. There is no skipping of it. Cool. Now we know the oogonia were there. The oogonia, which is over here, suppose this is the oogonia, it is diploid in nature. It is definitely going to undergo the process of mitosis. Why? To increase its number. Increase its number. Now we have increased the number, that's okay. You have got the oogonia right over here, you increase the number, still it's the oogonia itself. This oogonia which is there, which is diploid in nature, it is going to start the process of what? It is going to start the process of meiosis. I'm just talking about one. There are so many of them, and all of them are undergoing the same thing itself. When we are inside the mother's womb, that is in the uterus. So in the fetal ovary, inside the fetus is ovary. If this is a baby, this is the fetus. Inside her ovary, this is happening. The oogonia are dividing, and the oogonia, each of them basically are going to undergo one particular process, and that is known as what? Meiosis. They are going to start undergoing meiosis. And when I say that they are going to start undergoing meiosis, you need to know that in general terms, for making you understand, you have got the primary oocyte. Actually, the same like the primary spermatocyte that you had. There it was undergoing differentiation to do so. But here we say that the oogonia, when it has started undergoing meiosis, it has started undergoing meiosis, it becomes differentiated and you have a term for it. You will now call this as the primary oocyte. The primary oocyte is going to be deployed in nature itself. I'm repeating again. The oogonia is there, all of them. They are going to undergo some changes within them. They are going to undergo, they are going to start undergoing meiosis. And when I say it has started undergoing meiosis, at this point I say I will not call this as an oogonia anymore. I will rather call this as a primary oocyte. I will rather call this as a primary oocyte. But just understand, it has started its division. It has started its division. Just think like that. And when it does, that's when you call this as primary oocyte. So it has started meiosis 1, but do you think it is able to complete the meiosis 1? The answer is no. The answer is no. This primary oocyte, which has already started, it has already started meiosis. That's why I said that it has differentiated. That's why I call it primary oocyte. Is it able to complete its division? No, it is not able to complete its division. So I'll say that it is stuck. It is going to be stuck. Stuck in what phase? Let us talk about it. So over here, it is going to be stuck in prophase 1 of meiosis. In what? Prophase 1 of meiosis 1. Not even one step it was able to complete. Now we have metaphase 1, we have anaphase 1, telophase 1. None of it is completed. It is just stuck over here. Does it remain stuck forever? Yes. Until what time? Until a female hits puberty, the primary oocyte is going to be stuck here itself. So I'm writing that. It's stuck until, stuck until the female hits puberty. Okay, so please do remember that. Okay, that's all. So that is being formed. I'm so sorry, someone was giving something, that's why I did that. Okay, anyways, so structure, so it remains stuck in female until it hits puberty. So we have primary oocytes. How many of them? We have so many of them. We started with millions of oogonia, right? Remember, millions of oogonia were there in each of the ovary, and each of them formed the primary oocyte. So we will be having millions of primary oocyte. But do you think we will be still having those until we hit puberty? The answer is no. By the time we hit puberty, listen to me very carefully, by the time we hit puberty, only 60,000 to 80,000 primary oocyte will be there in each ovary, not in one ovary, in each of the ovary. When we started with millions, we just have 60 to 80,000, primary oocyte per ovary while we reach, or basically we hit the puberty. So it's just stuck there in meiosis 1, prophase 1. That's what you're saying, ma'am? Yes. And a lot of them are going to get degenerated? Yes. How many will remain? 60,000 to 80,000. Got it. Ma'am, does it remain as such? Do they have some covering around it? Is it just a primary oocyte up there in each of the ovary? Now listen to me. Now there are a few things that you have to know which is parallelly happening. By the time we have hit the puberty over here, it's not the primary oocyte which is just there like that. The primary oocyte which is there over here, suppose this is the primary oocyte I'm saying. It is covered by a layer of cells around it. What do you call these cells as? These cells which are there are known as granulosa cells. They are known as granulosa cells, and this structure that we have formed over here, they are the primary follicle. It's now known as a primary follicle. So this is the oocyte, this is what your primary oocyte. It is being covered by granulosa cells. Together this structure, granulosa cells plus the oocyte, I call this as the primary follicle. Got it? Now, when I say, you remember I spoke about ovary has cortex and medulla. In the cortex, this particular primary follicle is there. All the primary follicles are being arranged. Okay, until what time? Until we hit puberty. And only 60,000 to 80,000 primary follicles are going to be, you do not say primary oocyte, you say primary follicles are going to be remaining out there. Okay, done. Done so, ma'am. Now, once a person hits puberty, what is going to happen? Again, when a person hits puberty, in their body also hypothalamus, the FSH, the follicle stimulating hormone which is being produced is going to act on these follicles and is going to make it mature. Yeah, there is going to be some changes happening with these primary follicles once you hit puberty. So every month, some of them, okay, are going to undergo maturation, and only one is going to reach until the end. Rather, others are there which are going to be degenerated. So basically, the moment they are going to start maturing like this, and probably one gets matured at the end, and that matured one does something, this process is known as basically the starting of menstruation. The starting of menstruation. So I know that could be a little tricky for you as of now, so I'll not continue there. I'll talk about it later on, once I make you understand about all of this. Okay, so once we have hit puberty, follicle stimulating hormone is high. This follicle stimulating hormone is going to act on these follicles and is going to make it mature. By that, what do I mean? So listen to me carefully. The primary follicle which is there is going to have some more changes. So we had one layer of granulosa cell around it. And I'm going to make a small structure because we have to fit in all of it here. Okay, don't think that it gets smaller. I'm just making it small. So this is your primary oocyte. Where is it? The primary oocyte is still there, 2N. The layer of granulosa cell is still there. Now what happens? There's an extra layer of granulosa cell which is going to be formed. And this is happening with few primary follicles when we hit puberty. And apart from it, a new layer is also being formed. So what is the change that we have over here, Baba? We have what? Layers of granulosa cell. Layer of granulosa cell being added. And apart from that, what is the next change that we have? This is the first change. What is the second change? A theca layer is being added. A theca layer is also being added. This thing that you see over here, it's actually known as a theca. So ma'am, when this happens, when from this follicle it becomes this follicle, what do you call this as? This is known as the secondary follicle. It's known as the secondary follicle. So ma'am, you're saying it makes a secondary follicle, but inside it you have the primary oocyte only. Yes, inside it we have the primary oocyte. So ma'am, it has not completed the division yet. It's still stuck in prophase 1. Yes, it's still stuck in prophase 1. Okay, fine, cool, done. Now what? Now over here, again, under the influence, these hormones are still there. Under the influence of these hormones, certain changes are going to happen up over here. So the first change that you're going to notice is, so I'll just make it over here. So you have the primary oocyte. Apart from it, you have the granulosa cells, remember? Let me make it. So every single step we have to remember like this. It will be easy for you then. Okay. Oops, just a second. I hope it does not go. Just give me a second. Come on, work. Where are we? We are here. Okay. Here I have found something else. Right? What do you call this as? This is the first thing that I can see. This is antrum. Antrum is what? A cavity, fluid-filled cavity that is being formed. Fluid-filled cavity that is going to be formed in the next follicle. If this is primary, this is secondary, you can expect what is going to be the next one? Tertiary one, right? And what happens to this theca layer? Theca is going to get differentiated. You will be having one internal theca and one external theca. So I'll say there is inner theca interna, that is what you call it, inner theca interna, and outer theca externa. Outer theca externa. Ma'am, you call this structure as a tertiary follicle? Yes, I call this structure as the tertiary follicle. Just give me a second. Come on. This is known as the tertiary follicle. Ma'am, nothing more happens over here. Still it is primary oocyte. Now here comes the twist. This is the third one, and in the third one comes a change. When you say a tertiary follicle is being made, the primary oocyte over here is finally able to undergo or complete its entire division. And when I say that a cell has underwent the division, just imagine over here. When I say the cell has underwent meiosis 1, what do you get? You expect two cells to be forming? Both of them are going to have half the number of chromosome. Yes, yes. And what do you call them as? If this is known as primary oocyte, you expect both of them to be known as secondary oocyte, right? But here there is a change. In the case of oogenesis, this is going to be an unequal division. Yes, you get the secondary oocyte out there, which is going to be big, but here you get a small cell, very small cell, which you call as the first polar body. The first polar body. This is going to be an unequal division that is going to be there. You get the first polar body and you get only one secondary oocyte, and that happens over here. It has finally completed its division, has completed M1, has completed A1, has completed T1, meiosis 1 fully done. Over here you are going to get two things, and that is what? For the first time you had got the secondary oocyte, which is going to be haploid in nature, and also the first polar body, which is also going to be haploid. It has completed the division that happens inside so I'm just writing it over here. It's inside the tertiary follicle that primary oocyte completes the first meiosis. Completes the first meiosis, and you get both of them. Very, very, very important. Got it? Yes, ma'am, got it. Now what? Now what is going to happen? After this is being done, what is the next thing that happens? So you have done the division. Now again, this secondary oocyte, the first polar body, does it divide further? No, it just goes off. Okay, so that means we have lost one of them totally. Yes, the secondary oocyte which is there, again it gets stuck over here. When it undergoes meiosis 2, it gets stuck in meiosis 2 metaphase 2. Okay, here it was prophase, here it is metaphase where it is getting stuck. Do remember it. Otherwise you can just remember in meiosis 2 it is being stuck. What is being stuck? This secondary oocyte is being stuck. Ma'am, that's all. There is nothing else. By the way, one more very important thing happened. The tertiary follicle is finally going to convert into a mature follicle. It is going to convert into what? A mature follicle. You have a name for it. It is known as the Graafian follicle. It is what? The mature follicle out there. And as I told you, a lot of the primary follicles, when you hit puberty, during one cycle, I'm talking each month it is going to happen. Each month it is going to happen. Every single month, a lot of them are going to undergo this transition, but only one is going to reach until this particular point. Others, they are going to get degenerated. Again, the next month, a lot of them are going to undergo the same thing. A lot of them gets degenerated. So last time, when there is nothing being left behind, we say that a woman have completed her menstruation, because there is nothing much to be released. And again, what's the combination between this and menstruation, you will get to know in a short while. Okay, so anyway, so we have these follicles, we have formed the Graafian follicle. We're going to talk about the Graafian follicle right over here, because that is important. So over here, Baba, you have what? This is the secondary oocyte, haploid, and this is the first polar body. What happens to the first polar body? It gets degenerated. Okay, so I can just remove it right now. I'll just remove it. I'll not draw it over here. This is your secondary oocyte. Just remember that. I'll write it down for you. This is the secondary oocyte that we are having right over here. Okay, ma'am. Now what? Now, the first thing that you need to remember, inside the Graafian follicle, there is a very big change that happens, and this is super important. Inside the Graafian follicle, for the first time in life, the secondary oocyte did something for itself. It made a layer around it. This layer is known as, it's a very famous layer, it's known as the zona pellucida. And do remember, it is not made up of cells. It is made up of glycoproteins, that means carbohydrates and proteins, and it is acellular. That means it is not made up of any cell. Do remember, it's acellular. Who makes it? Secondary oocyte makes it for itself. And apart from it, there are so many granulosa cells which are also being arranged around it. They are special. Okay, they have special, which is why they have a name. They are known as corona radiata. It's known as corona radiata. So we have the secondary oocyte. Surrounding it said that I am going to make a layer for myself. It's known as zona pellucida. Granulosa cell says that I can also contribute in some ways. If at all you want protection, I can make a layer around it, and that is known as corona radiata. Apart from it, yes, you have some others also being arranged. Yes, you have some others also being arranged throughout. So I'm just making it right over here. Just see. Over here also there are so many things. I cannot pause the video. There's no pause button. Yeah. So sorry guys. Yeah. So over here again, these are the normal things which are there, and you will be having the antral cavity as well. You would be having the antral cavity as well. Cool. Done. Next what? Next what? So antral cavity is just there. The only thing that you have to notice over here, the antral cavity is going to become a lot more bigger. Apart from it, there will be inner theca interna and outer theca externa. So this is the Graafian follicle which is there. It's a mature one. The changes that you observe is around the secondary oocyte. It is stuck in which phase? It is stuck in meiosis 2. Okay. The moment it is going to divide itself, if it completes its division, secondary oocyte, if it completes its division, what do you get? I'm going to talk about that right over here. So for those of you who are like, ma'am, what? I'm not able to understand anything. Listen to me carefully. You had the oogonia. Okay. You had the oogonia. This was what? Diploid. It got differentiated. You got the primary oocyte. Agreed. This was the primary oocyte that was there. Primary oocyte was stuck until puberty. Now we have reached puberty. It has completed division. Unequal division is there. This is the first polar body. First polar body with haploid nucleus. Over here this also is haploid, and here you have got what? The secondary oocyte. This has completed meiosis 1. Now I am saying that this guy is stuck in meiosis 2. It is not able to complete a division. If it does, what do you get? If it does, you get two things again. The second polar body, and here is the final thing, that is the ovum, which is also going to be haploid. So difference between spermatogenesis and oogenesis is what? In oogenesis, from one oogonia, technically you're just getting one ovum. In spermatogenesis, this cell divided into two, this cell again divided into two. At the end, you got 4 of them. So the ratio is different. The number of sperms being made up there is 4. Here it is just 1 in the case of oogenesis. Please remember, very, very important. Why do you think these polar bodies are being made? Why not have equal division? Because you wanted to make sure that there is enough cytoplasm. Later on, when you form the zygote by the fusion of the sperm and the egg, sperm does not carry much amount of cytoplasm. You saw the structure. It has the middle piece with mitochondria, the tail, and this. There is reduced cytoplasm. Why? Because it wanted to move. If it cannot be heavy, but this guy, that is the ovum, it can be heavy. It can be at the same place. It is one of the largest cell in the female body. In that case, it just stays there. It makes sure that it has enough amount of cytoplasm, and it does. It does have enough amount of cytoplasm. That is why it has unequal division being done. Now we are stuck up over here. What is this? This is the Graafian follicle. The secondary oocyte is right now, you had it done in the tertiary follicle. The tertiary follicle has matured into the Graafian follicle. Now within the Graafian follicle, this guy is there. Around it, what do you have? Zona pellucida and corona radiata. Now, when there is going to be some changes in the hormonal action in the menstruation, we are going to see, at that time the Graafian follicle is going to rupture open. It's going to break open and is going to release the secondary oocyte along with zona pellucida and corona radiata, onto which what is going to come and attack? It's the sperm. When the sperm comes and attacks over here, there are going to be some changes happening in the secondary oocyte. It finally divides into ovum and this, and finally the sperm nucleus and the ovum nucleus is going to fuse. That is the long story short. Okay, and we are going to talk about it. As of now, we are not seeing the formation of ovum. You do not know about it. We are stuck here in the Graafian follicle, and the Graafian follicle, you know, will rupture one day. You do not know when day, what day, and things like that. So we will be talking about that, but I hope you have understood until this point, and you know the difference between spermatogenesis and oogenesis. In spermatogenesis, you get 4 sperms at the end. In oogenesis, you just get 1 ovum. So if the question comes, if 500 spermatogonia is there, how many sperms will be there? 500 into 4, what is it? 2000 sperm. On the other hand, if 500 oogonia is there, how many ovum is going to be formed? 500 only, because each of them produce only 1 ovum. You get it? So that is the logic that we have to apply. Got it? So yes, We'll just have a quick read. So, no new oogonia are added after the birth. Done, ma'am. Oogonia enter prophase 1 of meiosis and get arrested, becomes the primary oocyte. Yes, ma'am. Okay, it becomes the primary oocyte, right? Each primary oocyte is surrounded by granulosa cells, forms the primary follicle. Yes, ma'am. Many follicles degenerate from birth to puberty, leaving only 60,000 to 80,000 primary follicles per ovary. Okay, ma'am. Primary follicles turn into secondary follicles. What is that change? More layers of granulosa cells and a theca formation happens up there. Inside it, you have the primary oocyte only, which is diploid in nature. Then we studied about this thing, that is secondary follicle transform into tertiary follicle. In the tertiary follicles, what is there? Fluid filled cavity, that is antrum, is being formed, and the theca layer differentiates into theca interna and theca externa. Done. Inside it, one more change has happened. Primary oocyte completes the meiosis 1, produces haploid. Secondary oocyte retains most of the cytoplasm for future embryo nourishment, and the first polar body is small and may degenerate as well. Okay, this has been done. Now what? The secondary oocyte which is there, it's covered by what? The next follicle, that is the Graafian follicle. The tertiary follicle transforms into Graafian follicle. Secondary oocyte forms the zona pellucida around it, a protective glycoprotein layer. That means a protective layer made up of carbohydrate as well as the protein. Do remember, it is acellular, it is not made up of any cells. Now, the Graafian follicle ruptures and finally the ovulation happens later on. And I'll be talking about that right now in menstruation. So this is something that I had to explain, and I hope I make sense over here. Have you got questions? Yes. You have got a 5-marker question. Given below is a flow chart showing the ovarian changes during the menstrual cycle. Okay, during the menstrual cycle. So you have a partial information about, okay, so as of now, I'll just not do this video. After menstruation, after we complete menstruation, we'll come back to it. Because it's a mix of what we have studied right now and what we are gonna study. Okay, so I'll just talk about it, do not be worried. Just giving a brief on this. At the end of it, you get 4. At the end of it, you just get 1. Please know here also you have to do back tagging. Okay, start tagging from the backward. It will be easy for you to do so. Okay, so I'm just writing it over here. If you have 500 of them, spermatogonia, at the end how many sperms? 500 into 4, because each of them are going to produce 4, it will be 2000. If you have 500 oogonia over here, how many sperm? How many ovum? 500 only. I'm writing because this is a case set question, please do remember it. Okay. Now about the menstrual cycle. My dear children, again, if at all you want to take a break, you can do so. That's not at all an issue. Okay, if you want, you can take a break. Just give me a second. And I hope you guys are drinking water. If not, make sure you do so. Now we have the menstrual cycle, and we are right up over here where we have to discuss a lot of things. Let's go ahead and discuss it. That's the reason why females have mood swings. We started the chapter with this particular topic, right? Why females have mood swings? Why males have so many? You got the understanding of males, right? Because they hit puberty, FSH, LH follicles, testosterone is increased. If testosterone is increased, Baba, they will be having some different characters in their body. That's exactly why they have so much beard and thick hair, thick voice and things like that. Okay. Now, we come to talk about the menstrual cycle, which is one of the most important topic in this particular chapter. And for some, it's the most difficult topic as well. I promise I'll try to make sure that it is the easiest for you right now. Okay, so it goes like this. The menstrual cycle which is there, I can divide it into 4 phases. In your NCERT, 3 phases. This is not being mentioned as a phase or not, but you can consider this as 4 phase. Okay. Suppose this is day 1, October 1. October 1. Why October? October is my birthday month. Okay, anyways. October 1 to 5. For 5 days, a woman is bleeding. Why? Because her menstruation has started. Why do you think she bleeds? Listen to me very carefully. You have the uterus. Inside the uterus, we all studied about this particular layer that we had, which is known as what? The endometrium. It is known as the endometrium. We studied that it usually undergoes cyclic changes. It sheds, it forms, it sheds, it forms. So, I'll tell you one very important thing. For it to maintain, for it to be there, Okay, for it to be there, just right there, you need ovarian hormones, the hormones released by the ovaries. Ovarian hormones. Okay, there are two ovarian hormones. One is going to be estrogen and the other one is going to be progesterone. Okay, for maintaining this endometrium, you need the ovarian hormone out there. Okay, now these ovarian hormones which are there, they have an enemy. They have actually two enemies. And those are what? The pituitary hormones. The hormones released from the pituitary gland and the anterior pituitary, to be specific. What are the hormones released by anterior pituitary? We all know by this particular time, and that is what? FSH. Oh my god, just a second. It is going to be FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, and LH. What are they? They are basically shatrus. Okay, they are going to be shatrus. Shatru means enemy. So how do I make an enemy face? I do not know to make it, but anyway, they are like that. Cool. When I say a woman is undergoing or basically in the menstrual phase, I mean that the endometrium has shed down, has gone off. Now, if endometrium has gone off, you only imagine what is the scenario up there, which hormone is there, which hormone is not there. If endometrium is not there, this was the guy maintaining it. That means these two people are not there. So I'll just make sure that I write it over here. Estrogen and the progesterone is less. That is why what is happening? The endometrium is going to shed. Is going to shed in which phase? The menstrual phase. It's there for almost 1 to 5 days. Usually, in some women, it is 1 to 7 days. For some, it is just 1 to 3 days. Anyways, it depends. This is the normal number that we are talking about. If these two hormones, that is the ovarian hormones are less, what is going to increase? Their shatru. If they are less, the other people are going to take the best opportunity. Okay, they are going to increase over here at this particular point. Just a second. The FSH and the LH is going to increase. What are these? Pituitary hormone. Done? Donezo, ma'am. Now, when I say they increase, that is happening over here. The shedding is happening. These guys are slowly. It's not like they have increased too much. They are slowly, okay, slowly increasing. Now, after the 5th day, we have entered the next phase, which is known as follicular phase. Why do you call this as the follicular phase? Because, Baba, over here, the primary follicle, you remember the primary follicle out there? These follicles are getting matured. A few of them are getting matured into what? The secondary follicle. The secondary follicle is maturing into what? The tertiary follicle. All those things are happening over here in the follicular phase. Now, for these follicles to generate like this or follicles to mature, what do you need? You need the FSH, and you had started increasing it over here. Yes, so it keeps on. So FSH is over here, it's increasing. That's not an issue. FSH is over here. Hey, just a second. Come on, work, Baba. Sorry, yeah. FSH is increasing. Not too much because it has already started. It's just there. It's maintaining its level. While the FSH is making the follicles to mature, there is one thing that is happening at the back, and FSH is not aware of that. By the way, for LH is also increasing, but not too much, in a level only. FSH is the main guy over here. That is why you call this follicular phase. Now, you also call this as proliferative phase. Why? I'm going to tell the reason for that. At the back of FSH, one thing is happening, that is, here the granulosa cells which are there, that surrounds the follicles, they are releasing estrogen. They are releasing what? Estrogen. Are Baba, estrogen is a shatru. Right? FSH is there. It is making the follicles increasing. Follicles on the other hand are releasing granulosa cells. Sorry, follicles on the other hand are releasing estrogen. Why? Because they are like, we do not want to mature. A lot of us are dying. Stop. If I am having estrogen, you are going to become less in amount. That is the logic. If estrogen is there, this guy is going to be less. Right? You can think like that. That's a story that I have just made up right now. Now, estrogen, when it is there, what is going to happen? This endometrium, which just went down, which just shed it off, it is going to what? Regenerate. It is going to slowly, are yaar, just a second. Boom, boom, boom. Jim Brum Bra. Yes. It is going to slowly regenerate. Very slowly. Okay? This is there. Estrogen has been releasing. Endometrium is slowly regenerating out there. It cannot fully regenerate without the help of progesterone. Progesterone has not been released yet. It's not in the picture yet. It's just straight line. Okay. Got it. Now when estrogen is there, ma'am, you said this cannot be there. So how can this be there over here? Listen to me. When estrogen is there, obviously does not allow FSH to go up, which is why the level of FSH and LH goes down. But anyway, the follicles are stimulating over here. The follicles have done it. Okay, there is level of FSH that is going low. It's not like zero FSH is there. It's still there. It's making this particular follicle mature because we want graphene follicle at the end. So this is still maturing. That means estrogen is still being released. Whatever you do, estrogen is going to be released. So there comes a time, until now estrogen was saying, hey FSH, LH, you be down, you cannot be up. But this guy increases in way too much amount as the follicles are developing. That's when one very important thing happened. The thing that we never imagined. This guy becomes so happy such that it says that, hey enemies, you also be happy for a day. So at this point, when estrogen is way too much, my dear children, it gives signal to LH as well as FSH. They also increase in way too much amount, especially the LH. This leads to what? The LH surge. This leads to what? The LH surge. LH surge means the highest amount of LH is going to be produced in high amount. When LH is produced in high amount, Baba, what is happening? The graphene follicle, which was right over here, it ruptures open to produce what? To release the most important thing over here as of now, and that is the secondary oocyte. Is the secondary oocyte covered by zona pellucida and corona radiata? Yes, ma'am. What do you call this process as? This is known as ovulation, and this phase is known as ovulatory phase. This is known as ovulatory phase. To make sure that everything is settled down until this particular point, I am just revising. Listen to me very carefully. First is the menstrual phase, day 1. Endometrium is shedding down. That means estrogen and progesterone is less. What about the other hormones? They are slowly increasing. FSH and LH are slowly increasing. Now we enter the next phase, follicular phase or proliferative phase. Why follicular phase? Because over here, under the influence of FSH and LH, and majorly FSH, the follicles are going to generate primary into secondary, secondary into tertiary, tertiary slowly into graphene. While this happens, you should know that under the influence of granulocyte cells, the granulocyte cells are going to release estrogen. When estrogen is released, it does not allow FSH to increase in too much amount, which is why it says that FSH you slow down. That's a good thing. Why? Because over here, not all the follicles will become graphene follicle. Only a few of them are going to become graphene follicle then. If at all, FSH and LH is in less amount. That happens in the mid over here. It happens. It becomes less. But later comes a point. Anyway, follicles are being made and the FSH is still there even though it's less. The follicles still are generating estrogen. So the level of estrogen is going to be high so much such that it is going to be too happy and says the enemies, you can also be happy. LH and FSH also increases in huge amount, especially the LH, and this causes the LH surge. Under the LH surge, what is going to happen, Baba? Under the influence of LH, the graphene follicle which was there, it ruptures and gives what? The secondary oocyte. This is known as ovulation. What do you call this? Ovulation. Very, very, very important. Ovulation is done, ma'am. Okay, we have got ovulation, that is also being sorted. This phase is ovulatory phase. When does ovulation happens? If this is the first day, almost in the 14th day, almost on the 14th day, you can expect ovulation to happen. Got it. Now what, ma'am? Now we enter into the next phase, which is known as luteal phase and secretory phase. Again, why do you call it luteal phase and secretory phase? Listen to me. Come back to this. Graphene follicle ruptured. Graphene follicle which was there, it ruptured. What does it do? It released the secondary oocyte. Right? Now, this portion which is staying back, this portion of graphene follicle which is right there, what do you call this as? This is now known as the corpus luteum, and it is very, very important. Corpus luteum. Why is corpus luteum being formed? Because of LH surge. Because of LH, there is a breakdown that is happening over here. Follicle is basically follicle breaks down, oocyte is being released. So whatever is left behind is corpus luteum. Who is maintaining it? It is the LH only. It is the LH, its level increased way too much. No, it's still there. It's still there. Okay, and what does it do? It maintains the corpus luteum. Now again, every time this FSH and LH believes in something, they do the opposite. Corpus luteum is going to release two hormone, again progesterone. This is progesterone for the first time, but again estrogen. This progesterone is super important for making the endometrium thicken really well. So as of now, you have just slowly regenerated the endometrium with the help of estrogen. That is why you call it proliferative phase. It was proliferating. Right now, this endometrium is going to be super thick. Super thick, and not just thick, it is going to start releasing certain things, for example glycogen and all. Why? Because you have to imagine the endometrium is right over here, thick for receiving what? Secondary oocyte is right up there, it is also being released. Suppose sperm come and fertilization happens, you get the zygote forms the embryo comes over here and it needs nourishment. Who will be doing that? It is going to be this guy, that is the endometrium, which is why the progesterone, under the influence of progesterone and estrogen, and especially progesterone, it becomes super thick and it is going to start secreting certain very important things for nourishment of the embryo if fertilization happens. That is why you call this as secretory phase also. And why luteal phase? Because LH is maintaining the corpus luteum and corpus luteum is doing both of this, or basically producing both of this. Now there is a trouble, and the trouble is what? For some time it's okay, but when progesterone sees that LH is still there, I don't want LH, I want this guy to move out. So it goes and signals the hypothalamus. It tells the hypothalamus, I do not want to see my Shatru. Please get it away from my sight. The progesterone gives a signal and the hypothalamus comes and acts on the LH and says that Macha, hypothalamus was producing gonadotropin releasing hormone. They can produce gonadotropin inhibiting hormone and say that, hey, LH, go down. When it goes down, don't you think in Hindi we say apne hi पैरों में कुल्हाड़ी मार लिया? It's basically you have hammered on your own leg. Okay, in Malayalam I do not know what do you say, in Kannada also I do not know what do you say, but anyways, okay, so over here it had actually hampered its own life. Why? Because if LH is not there, corpus luteum will not be there. If corpus luteum is not there, progesterone estrogen will also not be there. So that is the logic. If suppose fertilization is not happening, progesterone is still there, it's waiting. It feels that, oh, I have to do some drama. It gives the signal, LH goes down. If LH is not there, corpus luteum goes down. If corpus luteum is not there, progesterone estrogen is not there, that means the endometrium is going to shut down because there is no one to maintain it. You get it? So ma'am, what's the difference that happens in fertilization? If fertilization has taken place, okay, if fertilization has taken place, you need to understand this particular embryo which is going to be formed, it is some part of it, okay, a layer of it is going to help in the production of a hormone that is known as human chorionic gonadotropin. It is later produced by placenta, but as of now, just to give signal that hey, there is pregnancy, HCG hormone is being released. This HCG comes over here and maintains the corpus luteum. Instead of LH, it's the HCG that maintains the corpus luteum, and the corpus luteum will still produce progesterone, estrogen, make the endometrium thicker if fertilization happens. But that's not the case here. Fertilization has not taken place. We are on the 14th day. Until 28th day, it waits. Until 28th day, that means 14 more days it waits. But while the end of it does not happen, basically all this, and it's not like a one-day thing that this happened. It's a slow process. When this guy stops that, slowly the corpus luteum is not going to, it's going to get degenerated, okay, and then slowly it reduces the amount of progesterone and the endometrium sheds by this particular point. Again, in the menstrual phase, the endometrium is going to shed down. If fertilization happens, there will be someone to maintain it. Then this whole process does not happen. That is why we say that a pregnant female is not going to menstruate. Why do you have menstruation? Because you are making the follicles ready for this thing, ovulation to happen. That is the whole point, right? If they are already pregnant, there is no point of menstruation. The endometrium is being maintained. There is no shedding down of endometrium. Got it? Very, very easy. 28-day cycle, 14-day mid-cycle, you will be having ovulation that is being seen. Very important topic. Now over here, I'll just show you the picture and explain you certain thing so that it becomes all the more clear for you. We are on the 1 to 5th day. What is happening? Menses is happening. This is the uterine events. Over in hormones, if you see estrogen, progesterone, blank. Why? Because the level has gone down. They made the LH less, corpus luteum is not there, they had degenerated, everything is gone. On the other hand, what about this particular thing? FSH slowly increasing. Okay, LH is also slowly increasing. The follicles have slowly started developing, but it majorly develops during this particular phase. Okay, the follicular phase or the proliferative phase. That's when the follicles are going to develop. The follicles, while they develop, what is going to happen? I told you the granulocyte cells which are there, they are going to produce what? Estrogen. So level of estrogen is going high, you see. And if at all you see over here, the level of FSH is going down. The LH is still there, okay, but the FSH is going down. Why? Because this guy does not like that guy. You can think like that. It's not because of that. When the follicles are developing, they release certain other things, inhibin and certain things like that, that makes the FSH go down. That's the logic. Okay, but anyways, okay, over here we have the estrogen, which is increasing. Why? Because the follicles are developing. Under the influence of FSH, even if still it's there, no, it's developing. The estrogen is being released. Until that particular point where it is okay, where it is like moderate level, it makes the LH and FS also stay in less amount. But the moment it is in high amount, Baba, what is going to happen? It is going to say LH and FS also to increase, especially the LH. That is why you have an LH surge. That's why you have ovulation happening up over here. So in your NCERT, there is no ovulatory phase that they have mentioned, but do know, in between this and this comes the ovulatory phase. That is, ovulation happens, or towards the end of follicular phase, you can say ovulation is happening over here. That's also right. Ovulation has taken place. Then what happens, Baba? When ovulation happens, you see that the LH increases. When the LH increases, obviously estrogen is going to go down a bit. Is going to go down a bit. It is later going to increase, but since LH is its Shatru is high in amount, estrogen is going to go down. Okay, but you don't have to remember small details. Just understand what I have told you before. That will be more than enough. But I'm just trying to explain you this diagram as well. Okay, what happened? This particular thing forms the corpus luteum. The corpus luteum now, under the influence of little bit of LH, what is going to do? It is going to produce progesterone and also estrogen. Again, the level goes high, especially the progesterone. Now you see the endometrium becomes very, very thick. It starts secreting things as well. And then again, when this guy is increased, it makes the LH go down. If LH is going down, basically corpus luteum degenerates, it becomes corpus albicans. It's a whole different thing. And when it is not there, these two guys go down, and again you have the menses happening. That is the whole logic. Okay, so write it somewhere. It's very easy. Menstrual phase, estrogen, progesterone less. FSH, LH slowly increasing. Proliferative phase, FSH increasing first, LH also. And then in the mid-cycle, estrogen comes up. When estrogen comes up, FSH, LH goes down. Then when estrogen goes up really high, that's when FSH and LH again increases very much. Then what to say, ovulation has taken place. You had got the corpus luteum, LH is maintained, FSH is okay. Now at this particular point, when corpus luteum is being formed, progesterone and estrogen increases. When their amount increases, what happens? The LH slows down. When the LH slows down, these guys also move down because corpus luteum is not there to maintain it. Again, the whole process happens. There's a logic. Logically, you have to remember, mugging up is not going to help you. And I'll tell you, menstrual cycle, if you can, revise it every alternate days for some days. For some days you revise it, then you will remember it automatically. At this particular point, you might feel that, oh my God, ma'am, it's too difficult. I do agree. It's difficult. It's not easy. But if you practice it, it will be easy. Works? Everyone who have understood this, can you give me can you tell me, ma'am, menstrual cycle is understood, or what do you have as a doubt? Please ask me. I'll be more than happy to help you out. So Baba, the first time a woman gets menstruation, this is known as menarche. Okay, it happens because, as I said, when you hit puberty, a lot of hormones and hormonal changes happens. Follicles are going to be made. That's when you see the menstruation is known as menarche, and by the time the follicles are all being done, okay, it's completely utilized, we say menopause has taken place, and usually it happens in 50 years. It usually happens in 50 years. It's a permanent cessation of cycles out there. And you might have seen the females, they have mood swings every menstrual cycle. Why? What do you expect? The hormones are like jumping like this. The females cannot remain normal in that case. Obviously, there will be mood swings because of these hormones. That does not justify everything, but yes, to some extent, certain things are there. Okay, so probably buy a chocolate, dark dark chocolate for your female friends out there. Make them a little happy out there. They might be experiencing, for some people, I'm being honest over here, they experience very bad situation. Okay, at some point, even me, okay, I had very bad mood swings. It feels so bad, I cannot explain that. Okay, so that is a usual thing, and yes, we definitely try to be good in that phase, okay, be positive, but sometimes things does not align, right? So yes, at that time you have to understand people. Okay, anyways, menarche is the first menstruation, menopause is the last one, and yes, some people have their menarche very early, which is why the menopause also reaches very early, because the number of follicles are anyway limited, right? So that's the logic. Menstrual phase, 3 to 5 days, shedding of endometrial lining if no fertilization. Follicular phase, also known as proliferative phase, primary follicle matured to graphene follicle. Endometrium regenerates under the influence of what, Baba? Under the influence of estrogen. Okay, next, FSH and LH level rise, estrogen secretion increases. FSH and LH level is going to rise. Wait, just a second. Yeah, when their level increases, estrogen level increases. When estrogen increases, Baba, at the end, okay, first of all, when estrogen is on moderate level, they go down. But when estrogen goes up, FSH and LH also increases way too much. Okay, so that is there. I'll rather remove, okay, it's just there, let it be there. Ovulatory phase, LH surge happens, ovulation happens. Why LH surge happens? Because estrogen is at the highest level. That is why LH surge is happening. Luteal phase, graphene follicle forms the corpus luteum, secretes progesterone for endometrial maintenance, and apart from it, not just progesterone, it's also estrogen. If no fertilization, corpus luteum degenerates, new cycle starts. Now everything that I have taught over here is not written over here, but yes. Pregnancy, menstrual cycle stops. Why? Because you have someone to maintain the endometrium out there. Menopause, 50 years, permanent cessation. We have discussed about all of it, and I think now there is a question that we can solve right from here. Given below is a flow chart showing the ovarian changes during menstrual cycle. Fill in the spaces with the hormonal factors responsible for the events shown. So there is primary follicle. Okay, then there is graphene follicle. Which hormone is responsible for formation from primary to graphene? Primary to graphene, it's FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, that is the one that is stimulating it. Graphene follicle to ova, what do you mean by that? Basically, secondary oocyte is sometimes termed as ova, okay, just to make it things easy for you. Basically, rupture of graphene follicle is being asked. What is responsible for rupture of graphene follicle to this? Luteinizing hormone. Under the influence of estrogen, it is going to be luteinizing hormone which is responsible for this. LH surge, technically. Yes, estrogen helps, but what actually makes it happen? LH surge. So you have to write LH, that is luteinizing hormone. Now over corpus luteum is there. Corpus luteum. Okay, corpus luteum is going to do what over here? Corpus luteum is going to produce what? That is the question. Corpus luteum is going to produce progesterone or estrogen. Okay, so yes. And also, women experience two major events in their lifetime, one at menarche and one at menopause. Mention the characteristic both of events. First, let's check for this. The first one is going to be FSH. As I told you, from primary to graphene follicle, you need FSH help. Second is LH. LH surge causes ovulation. That is why you have written graphene follicle to ova. That is LH surge. Now, secreted by the corpus luteum, what do you have? Endometrium. Okay, progesterone is the one that is secreted by the corpus luteum that maintains the endometrium. Already spoken about it, right? Yes. Now you can also write estrogen, but write progesterone majorly, because as I said, it is the one that majorly is responsible for increasing the thickness and all. Cool. Now, characteristics of menarche and menopause. Menarche is the first onset of menstruation at puberty, marks the beginning of reproductive phase in the case of females. By that time, from that point of time, a female can be pregnant anytime. Menopause, permanent cessation of menstruation, marks the end of the reproductive phase. You can also mention the age. It happens usually around 50 years. Cool. This was a 5-marker question that I wanted to discuss, and just a second. I think there is one more question. Yes. What is menstrual cycle? Mention one pituitary hormone and one ovarian hormone that plays a role in the menstrual cycle. Menstrual cycle is the monthly cyclic changes in the ovary and the uterus that occurs in the human female for about 28 days, starting from the menstruation to the next menstruation out there. Function of hormones in the menstrual cycle: FSH, pituitary hormone, stimulates the growth and maturation of the ovarian follicles in the ovary, induces the follicles to secrete estrogen. That is also being done. Yes, correct. Next, ovarian hormone estrogen causes repair and proliferation of the uterine endometrium for the first time. Second, it leads to LH surge causing ovulation. That is also correct. So these are the few things that you can say and you will get your marks. This is a 3-marker question that has come. Cool. So there's a 5-marker question that I showed you, there's a 3-marker question that I showed you, and I hope it helps. And now we're going ahead to the next thing, that is all about fertilization. All about fertilization. How do you think the fusion of the gametes and everything happens over here? So Baba, where is your gamete? Your ovum is right over here in the ampulla. Okay, and the sperm has to travel from here and to come until this particular point for the fertilization process to happen. But before it happens, there are a lot of other things that are also parallelly taking place. So suppose, okay, just a second. Okay. This suppose is the secondary oocyte. Okay, this is your secondary oocyte and you have the first polar body, it just goes away, but anyway it's there. Around it what do you have? You have zona pellucida, and around it what do you have? You have corona radiata. The sperm comes. The sperm which is there, listen to this as a story. Once it comes, suppose I am the sperm. Oh my god, this is corona radiata. I have to cleave it open. Cleaves open. For that, does it need the help of the enzymes? Yes, it does. Okay, there will be there. Apart from it, the major point comes when it reaches what? The zona pellucida. When it reaches the zona, for corona radiata, yes, you can just move through and you get there. When you reach the zona pellucida, on the surface of it, there are so many receptors onto which basically this particular sperm head is going to get in. Okay, and there, from that point onwards, there is something that is going to happen which is known as acrosomal reaction. Acrosomal reaction. What do you exactly mean by that? The acrosome which is there, it is now going to release some enzymes. Because of these enzymes, what is going to happen? These enzymes are going to make sure that a little part of the zona pellucida has just gone off and I can get inside over here. And it's not like it is getting inside the secondary oocyte. Please wait there. Okay, please do understand. It's having some space. It is just waiting out there. But you need to understand that it has cleaved through zona pellucida and not the entire zona pellucida is gone. Only a certain portion of it is open and it has entered over here. How does it happen? Because it has reached the surface of zona pellucida and there are some acrosomal reactions that are happening and the enzymes are being released. That is why this has taken place. Now, the secondary oocyte which is there, it has a covering around it also. It's not like it does not have anything. It has zona pellucida, that is the extra thing that is being made. Apart from it, it has its own membrane as well. It goes to the membrane and there are a few other things that is going to happen. It's not there in your NCERT, but I really wanted you guys to understand these things, because it does not make sense if a teacher is teaching and you are not understanding things and it's just at some place it's just blank. Why does it happen? You do not know. So listen to me carefully. Sperm crosses corona radiata, done ma'am, we discussed about it. Okay, that is the granulosa cell layer and we have already discussed about it. Just a second, okay? Okay, sperm binds to zona pellucida, done. Acrosomal reaction happens, done. Sperm penetrates zona pellucida, done. Sperm membrane fuses with the oocyte membrane. Basically, the secondary oocyte membrane is being fused. Okay, sperm membrane and secondary oocyte membrane. Sperm contents enters. Sperm is going to enter into the secondary oocyte. Now, in that I mean the nucleus and things like that. The tail remains there. The tail and all does not get inside. Okay, the nucleus and all get inside. Cortical reaction and block to polyspermy. What do you mean by that? So now within the secondary oocyte, there are going to be some changes. Understand, the secondary oocyte has still not completed its division. It's still stuck in meiosis 2, metaphase 2. Right? It's still stuck there. And right now this is happening. The sperm content is inside. While it is inside, what is going to happen? There are going to be some things happening within the secondary oocyte. We say that there is a cortical reaction that happens. Okay, there is something, it's known as cortical reaction that is going to take place over here. This cortical reaction, when it happens, you know what? It gives signal. Okay, it is going to give signal to what? To this particular thing, that is your zona pellucida, and says that, hey, you have to be very thick. That opening which is there, just close it off. You have to be super thick out there. So that process entirely takes place there. The secondary oocyte, the cortical reaction happens and there is a block to polyspermy. What do you mean by that? The cortical reaction that took place over here, it's going to send some signal out there to the zona pellucida, okay, and the zona pellucida is going to be very thick such that no other sperm can enter. That is what I mean by block to polyspermy. That has been done. No other sperm is there, only this guy is there within it. Secondary oocyte finally completes the meiosis 2. That sperm is inside, content is inside, it has blocked all the sperm. Now what's left? Let's complete the entire meiosis. Secondary oocyte finally undergoes the division, and what do you get? You get the ovum, and you get the second polar body. You get the ovum and the second polar body. Ovum plus the second polar body is being formed. Female pronucleus forms. That means over here there are going to be some changes happening there. In ovum, no, the nucleus is going to be known as pronucleus. Similarly, the sperm nucleus also become male pronucleus. Both of them are going to become pronucleus, and these pronucleus are going to fuse together. Always understand, sperm does not come with enough cytoplasm, but ovum has it. So the cytoplasm is retained from the ovum itself. The nucleus, the pronucleus which are there, they are going to come together. They are going to join together to form the diploid zygote. And repeating it again. First it crossed the corona radiata, then it crossed the zona pellucida. Only one is able to do it. One who is successful in doing it, it does it. How does it do it? When it binds to zona pellucida, there are going to be some receptors which are going to be active, which makes the acrosome also release some enzymes out there that is going to cleave open the zona pellucida. It gets inside, it comes in contact with the secondary oocyte layer around it, right? And now finally, when it gets inside the secondary oocyte as well, there are going to be some cortical reactions that are going to happen. Basically, some things like this. You can just imagine sac-like structure which would be having certain things being stored. Okay, it is going to go and send the signal that, hey macha, you have to make sure that the zona pellucida is very, very thick, such that no other sperm can enter. Now no sperm is entering. Over here the secondary oocyte has finally divided, completed its meiosis. It has formed the ovum and the second polar body. The ovum forms its first pronucleus out there. Similarly, the sperm nucleus also turns into a pronucleus. Both of them, basically pronucleus means condensation and everything is going to happen. There are some changes that are going to be happening within the nucleus. It's not like the chromosomes are being added up and things like that. No. Little amount of condensation, little amount of changes are going to happen. Both of them fuse together to form what? The zygote, which is going to be a single cell. Why a single cell? Because you have retained everything, cytoplasm which is there in the ovum. Sperm didn't carry anything. The nucleus of both of them are joined together. Now N and N which was there, they come together to form 2N. It becomes diploid in nature. Got it? This is going to be what? This is going to be known as the zygote. It's going to be known as the zygote, which later can form, which will be dividing to form the embryo. Got it? So there are obviously a lot of things that are happening over here. When I say cortical reaction, there is calcium being released, there is calcium that gives signal, a lot of things which obviously you do not have to learn at this point, but at least you should be having an idea of it, which is why I told you this. Works? Works. Now you have got the diploid zygote. Just let's read about it. Insemination. Semen is released into the vagina during copulation, that is known as insemination. Yes, ma'am. Sperm movement. Sperm swim through the cervix, then to the uterus, then to the ampulla of the fallopian tube. Ovary releases the ovum which reaches the ampulla. Both of them are there in the ampulla. Sperm binds to zona pellucida, blocking the entry of other sperm. Acrosomal enzymes help sperm penetrate the ovum. Secondary oocyte completes the meiosis, forming a haploid ovum and the second polar body. Haploid nuclei of sperm and the ovum fuses to form the diploid zygote. And they have finally met. Okay, and now what? Now comes the next thing that is known as cleavage. The moment the zygote is going to divide itself, okay, it is just one cell. It has to become a multicellular thing. We were all a zygote once. Okay, how do you think that we became like this? There was cell division that was taking place. Which division? Mitosis. Just increase the number of cells. That's all. This process of division of the zygote to form the embryo is actually known as cleavage. It is known as cleavage. Okay, so first of all, you have the zygote right over here. This zygote becomes 2 cell. The size of the cell becomes less. Okay, the size of the cell becomes less, small cells, but it occupies the same area. You can remember like that. It becomes 2. 2 is going to become 4. 4 is become 8. Okay, always remember when it undergoes mitosis, 1 cell becomes 2, right? Again, this cell divides into 2, it becomes 4 cell. That is how it is going to take place. All these cells which are there over here, do you have a name for it? Yes, ma'am. These cells which are there over here, you call this as blastomere. What do you call them? You call it as blastomere. And this process, as I said, zygote divides into 2, 4, 8, 16 blastomere. This is how it is going to go. It's known as cleavage. Now listen to me. There's a stage where it comes. It's the embryonic stage, where it has almost 8 to 16 cells. How many? Almost 8 to 16 blastomeres are there. This stage is important for you to remember. You have a name for it. It's known as morula. It's known as morula. In the next chapter also it will be helpful for you to remember. So please remember it. Okay, while it divides, while it forms the embryo, whenever it has a cell of 8 to 16 cells, you call this as the morula. Got it? Got it, ma'am. So cleavage, zygote divides into 2, 4, 8, 16 cells. Morula formation happens, 8 to 16 cells age embryo is known as morula. Now what? Now slowly you need to understand, it cannot be there over here forever. It cannot undergo the embryo formation over here. If it is happening, that could be risky for the mother as well as the child, right? In the fallopian tube, if it is done. You have to go further and develop in the uterus. So the cells are still keeping on dividing. The morula which is over here, Baba, its E is morula. Okay, suppose it's over here. It's keeping on dividing. There are so many cells being formed. There comes a stage where it finally gets embedded inside the endometrium. This stage of embryo is super important for you to remember. They ask you this question, in which stage does this get, get embedded? So please know the stage in which it get embedded is known as what? Until now we have studied about morula, 8 to 16. Now we are going to study about the next one. Obviously there are multiple other stages before it, but yes, the thing that is given in the NCERT and that you have to remember is the blastocyst stage. Is what? The blastocyst stage. Very, very, very important. In blastocyst stage, you have got few things to remember. There is going to be an outer layer of cells. You have a name for it. You call it as trophoblast. You call this as trophoblast. And there is going to be inner layer of cells. They are grouped up together like this. What do you call this as? The inner cell mass. Okay, and there is going to be a space over here. It's actually a cavity that is there. You call this cavity as, just a second. Just give me a second. You call this cavity as the blastocele. Okay, so you have the trophoblast. You have the inner cell mass, and there is a cavity. What do you call this cavity as? You call this as the blastocele. Is it important for you? Very, very, very important. Okay, it's not a small deal, it's a very big deal and super important for you guys to remember it. The reason being that this stage is the stage where the embryo is going to be embedded into the endometrium. So here is a trophoblast and here is going to be your inner cell mass. This is a stage of the embryo. Okay, it's going to undergo what? Implantation. Implantation, that means embedding into the endometrial lining. And from here things are going to change. Until now it's the endometrium. Until now it's the endometrium which is supporting and doing everything for the embryo. But you need to understand, it cannot do this particular work always. There has to be a proper support system, and for that you need a formation of something that is known as placenta. Placenta is going to be that thing that is going to help with the development of the embryo to form a fetus. And for that, for the formation of placenta, you need the help of this guy and also this thing that is the endometrium, both of it. So embryonic tissue helps, and also this particular uterine tissue, that is maternal tissue, is going to help. Embryonic tissue as well as the maternal tissue is going to help in the formation of a sustaining thing which is known as placenta. Will the endometrium go? Endometrium will be there, but yes, the major role is being taken up by the placenta. For the formation of placenta, you require at least almost 3 to 4 weeks. That means now over here, and it's not like properly it's going to be formed. It's definitely going to take time. Anyways, so I was over here while I was talking about the trophoblast, and then we were talking about the inner cell mass, right? We were talking about both of them, and here we had what? The endometrium. Just a second. Yes. Now listen to me. There's a transition that is going to happen. Now if you go ahead and study about embryology, there's a lot more to talk about it, but obviously that is not needed at this level of second PUC or KCET. So I'm just making it very short, and I'm telling you, this particular trophoblast which is there, it helps, it contributes in the formation of placenta in multiple ways, but one way is the formation of chorionic villi. Chorionic villi. There's a thing like this which looks like finger-like structure, and in between this finger-like structure you would be having blood-filled cavities out there that is going to be contributed from the mother's side. That is the endometrium and everything else is going to contribute it. So the outer layer which is there, it is going to do a lot of things. As I told you if at all you remember, HCG, human chorionic gonadotropin, the hormone which is there for maintaining the corpus luteum, it is initially released by this layer, trophoblast only. Okay, please know that. Later on when the placenta forms it, it forms HCG to maintain it. We still need endometrium, that is why to maintain it, HCG is being released, but that job is taken up by the placenta. As of now, trophoblast only does everything. Initially, it helps in the formation of chorionic villi also, and then later it helps in the formation of placenta as well. This whole thing is doing for what reason? Because it wants to form placenta. It wants to form the placenta. So ma'am, I have a question. What happens to the inner cell mass? This inner cell mass which is there over here. Okay, this inner cell mass which is there over here, group of cells, this is finally actually going to become the embryo. So ma'am, you said this was an embryo. Yes, it was. It's a stage of an embryo. I cannot call it something else, but do understand, in this embryonic stage, a part of the embryo contributes to the formation of the placenta. The other part, we say it develops into embryo proper. That means it is the one that actually develops further into embryo. Okay, from this cells, lot of layers are going to be formed: germ layers, ectoderm, mesoderm, endoderm. All of them are going to form their own organ system. Everyone has decided that this layer forms this organ, this layer does this layer does this. That is how it is going to happen. Anyway, this is known as the embryo proper, and this after trophoblast which is there, it helps in formation of chorionic villi, later helps in formation of placenta. So basically you can imagine something like this happening. Your baby over here is going to be formed. This guy transforms into that, and connecting both of it, you have something that is known as umbilical cord. Okay, you have something that is known as umbilical cord. This umbilical cord basically has blood vessels. Do understand, the mother's blood and the baby's blood is not going to be mixed at any point unless and until there's some issue. Okay, so this is how it works. Blastocyst is the one that goes and embeds into the endometrium. The outer layer of the blastocyst, trophoblast, helps in the formation of chorionic villi and later the formation of placenta as well. Okay, the embryo proper is being made by the inner cell mass. Both of them are being attached with the help of umbilical cord. Now, the placenta which is there, I call this as the temporary endocrine system. It's known as a temporary endocrine gland. Why temporary endocrine? What do you mean by endocrine? First of all, endocrine means something that produces hormones. And why do you call it temporary? Because it's there only until a person is pregnant. After 9 months, it is going to go off with the baby, and you have to cut it and discard it. That is how it goes. So it's known as temporary endocrine gland. It is going to release some hormones. What are the name of the hormones? That is important. Placenta is releasing 4 hormones and nothing apart from it according to your NCERT. First is HCG, human chorionic gonadotropin. Why do you need it? For maintaining corpus luteum. Corpus luteum helps in production of progesterone. Okay, I can say like that. The next one is going to be HPL, human placental lactogen. Okay, human placental lactogen is needed for the process of lactation to be prepared. Lactation means baby has to be fed with milk, right? That is why you need human placental lactogen that is going to act on the breast. The next one is progesterone, and the next one is going to be estrogen. So ovary does it initially, but now when the placenta is being formed, who takes up this job? This guy takes up the job. Okay, this placenta takes up the job to produce these 2 hormones and also HCG and HPL. These are the 4 hormones. Please remember, only 4 hormones that are released by placenta. So ma'am, during pregnancy, are there some other hormones? Yes. So in your NCERT, there is 3 segregation. 1, the 4 placental hormones. Second, the hormones which are increased in your blood. Okay, it is already there in the body, but increased in the blood in many folds only during pregnancy. What are those hormones? First one that you have is thyroxine. Okay, the thyroid hormone. Why is thyroid hormone very important? Thyroxine is super important for one very important thing, and that is what? For maintaining the metabolism, metabolic rate, breakdown, making of things of both the baby as well as the mother. That is why thyroxine is there. Next one that we have is prolactin. Prolactin is a pituitary hormone. Please note that. And this hormone is super important for lactation. Similarly, just like HPL, you have prolactin as well. Then we have cortisol. Cortisol again is responsible for the metabolism and all the other activities that are happening. These 3 hormones are there. You can remember in whatever way you want to remember. CPT, TPC, or CTP, whatever way you want, ATP, okay, ATP, instead of ATP it is CTP, you can remember like that, okay, instead of ATP it is CTP, cortisol, thyroxine and prolactin. These are there in the mother's blood already, but it increases in many folds. So ma'am, you said the third one during, the third one vaccine do later phase pregnancy. Now later phase done by ovary, later phase out. The hormone never going to be an option like that, an option like that, an option like that phase of pregnancy. You have formed this during help and from placenta. Functions of placenta or functions of placenta. Okay, whether get the important vaccine do, CO2 will be the vaccine do. That is how it usually often human estrogen and protein. Are there other estrogen and protein? Relaxin pregnancy. Not get easily moved. So always remember, increase cortisol, maternal increase cortisol. Okay, so the secretion done by ovary, excretion removed done by ovary. Roll off this sending things you guys also have, but using the plus, what do you mean by just out the optic the function embryo propers there is no just a second gym room rack, but this it's no, unless you have brain and then you have the lining of endoderm says that, for example, you'll make it the mesoderm, whether are known it's no etc. Please remember it as germless. Please remember it. Cell mass, which is the phase of pregnancy, are made up of people now inner cell mass to rebuild. That is why stem cells. That is why as well. Any tissue, the germ cells, 3 sets. This is the secondary sets, and I hope and to at least 10 there are one to 4 it is weeks. To 4 it is confused weeks. What happens at 20 weeks? 5 happens at the end of got it. Link between the mother. You are going link between the mother formation. But you're gonna check if one is born. That what do you need when is born? Is the fingers. It is there. You wait. So just a second. Functions of plasma. Male it is the penis. Said in the second male it is the penis or sub. So got some hair on my fur. The first movement. The first macho have macho. They are macho. And also third and also first and fifth month trimester and fifth month. You say 6 months obviously will be having premature month of 7, okay, but yes, month of 7 month strictly there. The end of 6 CO2 will be there on the body and CO2 will be there detectable. Second, cool. By week data weeks and just 6 months weeks and just go out, and that four hormones basic, that means that we have, which is there, that we have this now. This is going to be the home endometrium body estrogen and protein cervix. Stretch it will let hormones. You just remember the prostaglandins. You know prostaglandins who initiate relaxin signal eject. We say parturition fully developed fetus center in contraction, which it is in contraction, which that is there now contraction, which otherwise the baby now when it otherwise the baby something body which becomes worse or new, which becomes both of them are going to increase cortisol. If you remember, I think that is they would be having maternal receptors or maternal oxytocin receptor, the mild uterine neuronal signal, the mild uterine inside the brain nutrition respiration, but this time it is released over here. Post on the oxytocin. You know what? And while they do things, contracting the anterior cord is also nutrition transfer. It's no nutrition transfer nutrient content. So very remember KCET for second PUC, hormonal for second PUC is active. Excretion remove doctor into on. Please remember to on. Saturation is India. Questions have fetal okay for delivery. Mention that. Hormones. Do what? Since interior over here, this was hormones. Explain this hormones. Sending things. That is. It's no. It is by this time. It is, and the coming out. It prepare. You guys also have. Now that is true because this is there. To the first through was antibody which is there. It has and the child has and one was bodies. Hormones involved in. You mean by just saying increase in many. You mean by just saying whole thing is super. Saturation. I told you please know it. Have ended understanding of have ended approachable UK out that you want of the class do. The outer can make the outer cell mass is go. Topic by topic. come on, come on, come on. It's no, it's no. Endoderm says that brain and the brain and the brain and the on the lining of okay. For example Other are known. Cool. etc. From these three has 10 cells. We have got the cell mass which is there. Inner cell mass. Okay, and please. People nowadays. To rebuild stem cells as well. This is the second to at least 10, and I hope higher classroom. There are weeks. What happens in weeks? Confused. 20 weeks, 5 weeks. Ma'am. Now. You are going. Apart from that formation. Is born. Formation. That what do you need? We have formed this. The fingers. Organ system, which is first month. So every said in the second you have the so God the first movement about the body have the eye about the body. Three things. Third. And fifth month. Trimester. You get say 6 months formed almost moves out. Okay, but yes. Major organ system. Month. Basically on the body and alias formed detectable second weeks and just 6 months and I out and that endometry and discuss inside the human which is there this is going to be the most important receptor cervix stretch it'll let plan the hormones. You just remember or basically not Stuglands. Prostate right? Fully developed fetus, one. Parturition. Center. Now. It is. That is very. Contraction which. Now when it nervous think body or new before I do all mild gluten all if you remember which are active adapters are back estrogen oxide the mild gluten neuronal signal inside the brain please remember e blood on and guess the released over here on the oxytocin and receptors two things relax contracting cord is also into its nose as well as the plus nutrient content for second PUC hormonal active questions have cytosine please remember mechanism this fetal signal be about this mention that nerves Over here, this was plain this. There is going to breast. Super important. It is by this time and coming out it the help of the plastic now that is true sorry through the which is there during lactation the child apart from it these are was I told you in just increase in many fees. What do you whole thing is super and out that you want to understanding of approachable you can of the class do can make take care.